Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening, and welcome to another episode of Cinema for. Wait, Connor, I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like we're being listened to.
Yeah, that's the point, Alfredo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once more to Cinema Forecast. My name is Alfredo, and with me, as always, my co-host.
Back at it again, it's Connor.
And you are tuned in to Cinema Forecast, the movie podcast where every month we are randomly assigned a movie category by the legally distinct Movie Roulette, patent pending. And attached to said category are 4 films that we believe fit that category. Each week we go in depth with one of the films and talk about it in the context of said category. Speaking of categories and context, Connor, what is the category for this month?
We're doing people who are good at stuff.
People who are good at stuff for May, and may they be well at what they do. And the film that we watched today, this is the first film that Connor hasn't seen of our entire oeuvre.
Yeah.
Tell him what it is.
We're watching The Conversation.
Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation.
What a treat.
Yeah, truly a treat. You know, this was actually originally envisioned as a horror movie with Marlon Brando.
Oh, is that right? I could see that. I mean, there's a lot of horror movie vibes to it for sure.
It was originally outlined in '66, but he didn't have the budget or the sort of, the renown to execute it until after The Godfather. Godfather, 1972. This is 1974, of course. As we usually do, we like to take a second to talk about our first times with the movie. As I had said previously, about my experiences, this is going to be Connor's first viewing of this film. So we're going to get real in deep about all of his first time thoughts on The Conversation.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about such an interesting yeah, I mean, it's wild.
So the first time I saw this movie was in 2017 when I was in my first year of film school. This is one of the movies that we watched for our sort of history of cinema class.
Yeah.
And it is a really awesome movie with a lot of really interesting technical elements. The big thing that's always pointed out in this is the sound design.
Mm-hmm.
It is like all of the sound editing, well, pretty much most of it was executed by Walter Murch, who is this very well-known editor in the business. I actually even own one of his eyes. I think it's called, I own one of his eyes. I have one of his eyes in my cupboard.
He always shows it to me, and it's
I have one of his books. It's called In the Blink of an Eye, I believe. And he is really well known for his rule of 6. And that is where he breaks like every scene down into different categories. And he came up with these rough percentages. So when you're editing a movie, 51% should be emotion, 23% should be story, 10% is rhythm, 7% eye trace, 7% eye trace. Then we have the 2-dimensional plane of the screen is 5%, and the 3D space is 4%.
Whoa, I've heard of the rule of 6 before, but I didn't know what it was. So you're saying like he coined that term?
That's his philosophy, yeah, for editing. Yeah, breaking it down into those. Perhaps you've heard of a different rule of 6. Perhaps, Austin 316, baby, I don't know. But yeah, there's no 6 in that. I guess there's the 6 after the 1, but that's just because we exist in a base 10 society. So that's neither here nor there.
Damn, dog.
But I was super blown away by it. I really dug it. I love the vibe of it immediately.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's one of those fucking it's a 70s movie, and there's something about the 70s that is so cinematic to me.
Yeah.
I was very struck by it on my first viewing, just young Gene Hackman,
oh my gosh.
and also just like a story done in 1974 that is so sort of it's kind of foretelling this future state of surveillance. I think it's so very relevant today.
Yeah.
Like more so than ever, especially with a lot of the things that are coming out of the news and some of the things that we've heard about tech companies and maybe even shit that governments are doing. But
was it the Patriot Act that allowed for the government to surveil suspected terrorists?
I think so. Yeah. But I'm not a political expert, and I'm not a film expert either, but I'm going to attempt to be one for the next however many minutes.
Hey, you're a film expert to me. I'm just a newborn baby fresh eyes, seeing the world for the first time, especially with this movie. And yeah, you mentioned last week how much you love 70s movies when we were doing Boogie Nights, even like, and I think you just meant like 70s settings, but like, yeah, a movie actually filmed in the 70s, it does just have this vibe to it. And especially, yeah, this movie has such a vibe to it. And that was like the first thing that really hooked me with this movie was just how fresh it felt, even though, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
what, 50-year-old movie? It's
For
like,
sure.
it has such a unique voice to it. It has such a unique structure to it. Like, I have nitpicks here and there, but I feel like my nitpicks are more about my mood and what I wanted from, or like what my expectations were, versus if if I was seeing this for the second time, like knowing kind of what it's going for more, then I feel like I'd probably appreciate it even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I see what you mean for sure. Before we get into it, let's talk some themes, some PWAGAS themes.
Yes, sir.
Connor's got his list.
Yeah.
He used a bookmarker that was sitting on my table to mark it
Yeah. Well, I used to
quite
write.
effectively.
I used to write the themes out for every movie just to have it at the top of the list, like while I'm watching the movie to refer to. But then I realized I wasn't really referring to it very often. Like I was just thinking about it. So instead, I leave it on the first movie of the month, and now I'm bookmarking it to get back to it.
One of many examples at how we here at Cinema Forecast have let our standards slip and gotten lazy. And if you're wondering why that is, I actually I didn't check for any 5-star reviews this week. Maybe I'll do that very quickly at the end when we spin the wheel. But so maybe I'll be fucking eating crow at the end of this. But we'll see.
Yeah, next 5-star review. Maybe I'll reconsider writing the themes every time.
Hey, if you leave enough 5-star reviews, you can decide what Connor has to write over and over again, like Bart Simpson style.
Yes, here are the 10 themes for people who are good at stuff. Number 1, ambition. Number 2, pride. We got sacrifice, humanity's ingenuity, obsession, talent versus experience, competition, isolation of genius, legacy. And obsession, a big one for this, for sure. Isolation of genius, 100%. Pride and ambition, a bit. There's sacrifice in here in ways. I think Harry Call is an extremely interesting. This movie is like kind of a character study in a lot of ways, and
Very much so.
yeah, getting inside his head's very trippy. Gene Hackman's performance of him is absolutely outstanding. Like I haven't seen him in a bunch of stuff, but everything I have seen him in, he's really good. And he was like such a chameleon for me in this movie, where he just like, yeah, he was this guy, and he's so like, I don't picture him as the soft-spoken person, like the quiet, thoughtful actor type, not like Gene Hackman himself, but his portrayals, like he always has like these more in-your-face performances that I've seen from him. And so it's just like...
And you're saying this one is a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved, or...
Yeah.
But at the same time, very in your face when it happens.
Yeah.
This movie fucking rules.
It does.
When we were talking about other PWAGAS things, my sort of half of the two-handled jug that is the descriptions of the themes, I usually hit the technical stuff. With this, we've been saying throughout the month, we want a lot of close-ups of, to be able to get into the character's mind. That's another trick in general. I want so many things to be setting the mood, setting the atmosphere, setting the vibe for what world this person lives in. And honestly, the opening shot does a great job of that. But really quickly, insert shots are another important thing. There's going to be a lot of interacting with other people, see how they react to other people so we get a better idea of them. Yeah. I think this movie does a really cool job of using different things to do that, including the saxophone throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And then insert shots. I think I might have already said it, but this movie has a lot of gadgets. We want to see people working with those gadgets in a way that, demonstrates their mastery over whatever their thing that they are good as is. And
Yeah.
this guy is good at surveillance.
Yeah.
There's a big component of it too because it is the 70s that is audio based that I love. Like
Yeah.
that's super fun, right? Like we're not really working with a lot of like security footage. It's like photographs
Yeah.
and fucking
And
recordings.
way before the digital, like, we're not doing any hacking here or anything, or like,
Well, people were probably like phone hacking back then, right? Like
yeah,
doing,
well, I
like,
meant
free
like
calls and
computer
stuff.
hacking, but yeah, it's so cool. It's been so fun. We've talked about this, just jumping into the weird little world of all the like spaces that these people are masters in throughout these movies. First we had the perfume world, then we had the chess world, then we had pornography, and now surveillance. And surveillance is such a trippy thing to think about, just being so committed to. And I love the passion of all the people around surveillance, the whole trade show stuff. What's his name? Bernie? Is that the guy who
Yeah.
is really trying to sell everyone all the time? And yeah, it's so interesting just right from the jump, this opening shot, zooming in. It's really cool.
Yeah, so a couple of things about this. So the original director of photography for this film was Haskell Wexler. He is a bit of a legend in the game. Feel free to look up his credits, but there were some creative sort of they Francis Ford Coppola and him couldn't agree. Haskell Wexler wanted to do it more sort of like the Thomas Crown Affair, which was a film that he had done the cinematography for, which is a very sort of romantically shot movie. But Francis Ford Coppola was picturing it more like this other film. I can't remember off the top of my head what the name of it was, but it was a film that Haskell Wexler had directed that was done much more in a cinema verite style, which is kind of how this movie definitely follows more of a cinema verite aspect to it. So Haskell Wexler gets dropped. Bill Pope gets picked up, who is not Bill Pope. That's the guy from fucking The Matrix. Bill Butler gets picked up, who is the cinematographer from Jaws.
Oh.
And also, this is not the first time
Wow.
that this is not the only time that this will happen. Haskell Wexler was the original cinematographer for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Wow.
Him and Milos Forman got into could not see eye to eye, so then Bill Butler was brought in to replace him.
Wow.
But Haskell Wexler did do the opening shot, so that remains
Interesting.
in the movie.
Wow.
This is what is called a telephoto lens. When we talk about lenses, we talk about wide and telephoto. That's why when you do like zoom on cameras, it's a W and a T. Zoom lenses are not often used in cinema, especially back then when you didn't have as much of like the like mumblecore or like VHS video sort of like run and gun production type things. So this is already immediately like if you're into film, you're like, this is wild because they're like doing, it's not a push in, it's a zoom shot, and you can tell because the millimeter of the lens distorts the way people look. That's part of the reason why they use prime lenses. And there is this uncomfortable aspect of as you zoom in, the way people their bodies like distort in an imperceptible way, but like the paranoia is like there from the very fucking beginning.
Totally. And I love how it just like lets you sit and feel this scene, and you don't realize, or like, for me on a first watch, I have no idea how significant this whole sequence is.
It's the whole movie.
It's the whole movie, yeah. And yeah, just the way it lets you absorb all the details that we're going to be seeing again and again and again, and the music and the weird. Would you call that a mime, the street performer, when they're just...
Yeah, no, that is a mime, yeah, for sure.
Very interesting to just watch the mime doing it, his thing, and curious how that fits into the themes of what's going on. And yeah, our introduction to Harry is he's getting mimed, and you see how uncomfortable he immediately is.
That's really where like the like telephoto zoom shot like culminates, is like sort of Harry Call coming into frame and interacting with the mime. There's some really fun stuff in this scene. It's so like boisterous, but also kind of like there's this foreboding nature about it. Like all of the mirth feels really sort of like plastic.
Yeah, and That foreboding feeling you were talking about was really interesting for a first watch because I had no idea. You had told me it was a thriller. I had no idea where we were going with this tone or what was going to happen. So I like, and that kind of lasted through the whole movie where I'm like, like I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to feel at any given moment, and I think that's really interesting, like really artistically done.
Yeah, for sure. This movie is great with the evoking of like uncertain emotional states. So another fun thing is there's a dude in a yellow hat that is Billy D. Williams,
Oh,
an uncredited role for him
wow.
pre Star Wars.
Wow.
I was also thinking this is a pre Star Wars era, dude, and this is the year before
No,
Jaws. You know,
I know. It was so wild seeing Harrison Ford here. Like, I feel like as soon as he hit the scene, he was just like
he was
a star.
he
Like, he
was
was always
supposed to have
first
a
role.
much like it was supposed to just be like a very brief sort of cameo, like a much shorter role. But what happened was he made the decision that his character was gay. So he went out and bought a very bright tie that he wears, I think, in that first scene. He's in a bright green tie. And everyone was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what's up when he showed up with it, right? And he talks to FFC and he's like, yeah, no, this is like my concept for my character, like, you know, and he's gay or whatever. And he's like, whoa, okay, okay. And then so they changed up the set for The Office, and like he was kind of impressed by that,
Yeah.
like thought that he like
That-
kept him on for more
Yeah.
of the movie.
Well, I love that. Yeah, he brought so much more than was in the script.
It's so fucking silly though. Then Troy's like, he's like, yeah, my character, he's gonna be gay. He's gonna wear a bright green tie, and that's the thing that did it. That's what slipped him in there.
That's why Harrison Ford is the ruler of the world.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, like George Lucas and friggin' Francis Ford Coppola are friends.
Right.
Actually, the car that is that we see later on, the Mercedes limousine, that car, Francis Ford Coppola won in a bet with Paramount Studios.
Damn.
He was like,
got
I'm
all the
tired
lore.
of sharing a fucking a station wagon with like 5 other people to drive to the production of Godfather, and like, could you get me a car or something? Or like, if Godfather like makes a certain amount of money, we'll buy you a car. And The Godfather became the highest grossing film of all time. So him and George Lucas went and they bought a car, and the car is in this movie.
Holy crap. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I fucking love it.
Wow. Well, yeah, well done, Francis Ford Coppola, because he's killing it on all fronts. Yeah, and we get the weird voices through the receiver here. This is going to be
Yeah, the distortion.
yeah, this is going to be something throughout the whole movie, and I feel like it's very thematically interesting. Just
Yeah.
trying
There's
to
a really cool
understand.
note about it too. Like every time he fucks with the recording and it's like recontextualized, they recorded this conversation several times for the movie. So it's not always the same conversation,
Oh.
which adds to this whole fucking like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, God, this movie is such a vibe.
Isn't that fucking wild out there?
Yeah.
Just like what I love about filmmaking is that there is this part of it is like, how do we fuck with people? How do we throw them out of like
Right.
their day to day, right? And
Right.
this movie does it in so many fun ways.
Apparently, it reminds me of The Shining, where apparently Stanley Kubrick like set it up so that when they're filming him riding the bike down the hall, they made it so that it would keep turning right, and eventually you should cross over where you were before, but they set up the set in a way that it just
Yeah.
like the hotel's continuity doesn't actually make
Yeah,
any
I've
sense.
heard that. I've heard that about
Like-
The Shining for sure. That it's supposed to be an impossible sort of like architecture.
Yeah, which is, one of the subconscious things you don't really think about. But
Yeah. Another thing in this movie, in this opening scene, we meet like part of his crew. We get John Cazale, who is Stan, and I just want to shout out really quickly. That's Fredo from The Godfather.
yeah, there's a lot of Godfather.
Yeah, for sure. And a thing about this guy specifically is that up until 9th grade, everyone called me Alfredo. And then we had a substitute teacher one day, and he comes in and he says, he's looking at the sheet. He sees my name as he's doing roll call, Mr. Notaboom. And he says, Alfredo? Fredo, you broke my heart. I know it was you. And I just like looked at him and he's like, have you seen The Godfather before? And I was like, no, I've never seen it before. And he was like, oh man, you gotta check it out. And actually the next year, my very, very good friend, my best friend indeed, Joshua Kipperstock. Congratulations on getting engaged, by the way. I love you. I hope you listen to this episode.
Heck yeah.
We watched part 1 and 2 and ate Godfather pizza at his parents' house.
Nice.
But since then, everyone has sort of called me Fredo.
That's so funny.
I didn't know of it as a nickname until that point. And I think I didn't even say, call me Fredo. People just started doing it.
Wow, that's where it started? That's insane. I've been calling you Fredo for so long and just assumed that would be the common nickname for Alfredo, but no, literal 1-to-1 with the Godfather. That's
like
awesome.
we said last week, you've got Alfred, for Alfredo with Alfred Molina, and then Al Pacino, he went with Al. His name is also Alfredo. You know, there's famous ones of us out there. I'm gonna throw myself in there.
Heck yeah.
We also got we got Michael Higgins playing Paul, who's the cop who gets burned as he's kind of like following them. This
who's
is
also
so
Sonny
sick.
in The Godfather.
This is so.
Or no, he's the lawyer. He's the lawyer in The Godfather, right?
Yeah, Sonny is oh my god, I huge actor.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Huge actor. He's in fucking Thief. Oh.
I'm looking it up.
I don't even want you to say it. I'm so upset right now. His name's Michael something. I don't fucking fuck.
James Caan.
James Caan.
Caan.
Fucking Caan. Wow, dude. Should have known. Okay, well, yeah. Anyway, Michael Higgins plays Paul, the cop who gets burned. I love the whole, that we're presented with the solution to the puzzle at the beginning, right?
Yeah. Well, so there's so much here for me to try to, first time, trying to put together what the heck is happening here, trying to look for themes, not knowing what the themes are going to be at all. And yeah, the first thing that I stuck out in the conversation to me that I wrote down.
Sorry.
In the conversation, and we hear this a million times, but she says, they're talking about the homeless man sleeping, and he says, he's not hurting anyone, and she says, neither are we. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? What's the mystery here? And then that's really kind of the question of the whole movie.
Yeah, it gets recontextualized over and over again as he's working with the audio. Yeah, the whole execution of it is really fucking sick. I love us getting into the van, meeting the sort of crew.
Yep.
And the convention is mentioned from the beginning.
Yep.
As well, we get this, and the fucking part where the women are.
I was just about to say Stanley's very creepy here.
Yeah, Stanley is fucking gross, which is it's the only time he's really gross throughout the movie. For the rest of the movie, he's kind of this emotional sort of orbit for Harry to interact with, right?
Yeah, he's one of the few people Harry actually trusts, if not the only person Harry kind of trusts.
Yeah, and Stan cares about Harry.
Yeah,
he you can see he truly seems to care about him.
Yeah, interesting character. But yeah, definitely kind of a womanizing creep from this scene at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what he says something yeah, stick your tongue out. Come on.
He says, "Give me some tongue."
Yeah, very, very weird.
Yeah, he's a fucking freak, dude.
And yeah, just again was looking for okay, who's this guy? Who's Harry? I think Harry says, "I don't care what they're talking about. Just want a nice fat recording."
Yeah. Dude, and that's what podcasting is about, really. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But it's setting up Harry's whole kind of struggle throughout the movie, which is keeping business from his personal feelings, especially as we figure out his trauma from a previous case he had. I don't know. Would you call this a case? Just a job, I guess.
Yeah, it's an assignment is a word that they use a lot.
Right.
I also love that Harry's voice sits very low in the mix during this conversation, which kind of like occults him more, right? Like he wears this like translucent sort of like rain jacket throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And that's like so him. Actually, so the name his name was supposed to be Call.
Well, that's what I assumed it was until I saw it on the
No,
credits.
but a typo made it Caul.
Oh.
But like
it's actually just a typo. That's funny.
No, but there's more to it because then Francis Ford Coppola was like, well, actually, call is like a sort of like veil, and it's also like the word for like when a baby is born in the amniotic sac, and
Whoa.
like so there's this transparent raincoat that he wears that is like his like
gosh.
call, like hiding him from the world,
That's wild.
Yeah, it's fucking sick. It's good shit.
Yeah.
Good writing.
Yeah.
I think like the scope of some of his other movies is just so amazing, but this is actually, I think, Francis Ford Coppola's favorite movie that he made.
Wow.
Or one of his favorites, and it was also one of Gene Hackman's favorite movies that he acted in.
I can see that.
Also, I just want to say, have you heard about what happened to Gene Hackman?
For this movie or what
No.
aspect?
No, recently. So him and his wife were found dead.
Yeah.
But it's insane, like what happened, right? She had been dead for a while.
Yeah.
And he had died recently. And something about how like the dogs were still alive or something like that.
I think they died as well. They were like locked up.
There's something wild about it though. Like it sounded like a fucking like a 3-body problem or like is that what it's called?
That's more of a scientific theory about astronomical bodies.
Sorry, no, I meant like it's like one of those things where like like you see what you saw. It's like a riddle. It's like a fucking law. Like it's like a
it seems like a
black box and like
a
you're
cop
what
show
happened?
episode, or a Francis Ford Coppola detective movie.
Sounds
or something.
Insane, dude.
No, it's really sad. Rest in peace, Gene Hackman. I mean, legendary actor.
Yeah, what the fuck happened, dude? I can't wait till they make the movie or like the miniseries about like the last week of the Hackmans' lives.
Yeah, man.
This is fucking wild, dude.
It is really wild. Okay, there's this one shot here, or just like sequence here. For as good as they are at surveilling, what the hell is Paul doing with his wire just hanging out as obvious as possible? I was like, if I was doing a surveillance job, I would not just be like, wire hanging out, and she spots him because he's obvious as hell.
He's wearing a hearing aid. Like,
yeah, but he's
that's
like
what she
leaning
says.
into him.
That's what she says, yeah. Well, he doesn't even need that. That side shouldn't be facing them, I think, is the idea. The idea is that I think the microphone is actually in the fucking bag he's holding.
Oh. So does he not realize it's hanging out, or?
No, I think he was just trying to keep that like part of his face away from them. I don't know, man. But yeah, but it is fun to see that, right? Like, I mean, he's a cop, they say, I love how he says he's a nice guy for a cop.
Yeah. And there's some intrigue here. They say they don't know who they're surveilling for, right? Like immediately setting up more mystery around everything that's going to kind of, and I love that in this movie, the whole movie is just this slow burn build of tension around what is happening here. It's this big mystery, but also it's just tied up in the psychology of Harry Call.
I mean, Harry is basically like what he is. His whole arc is like it starts with like I don't give a fuck, and then like the whole like proposal of the movie is like by the end this is going to ruin you by how much you care.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure how much of it was him pretending not to care because he has this PTSD with it. Like how much of it is just him putting up a wall.
For sure,
how
it's
much of it...
compartmentalization.
Yeah,
But
totally.
I think at the beginning it reads like professional, like sort of detachment.
Yeah, but he's also an extremely hard person to read because he's so like eccentric and bizarre and
yeah, man.
strange.
Like when he's walking into his apartment, the woman with the dog says "Happy Birthday," and you can see like there's sort of this look on his face, and then he goes We see he's got 3 locks on his door. The alarm sounds, and then there's the package in there, and the whole like, dude, like what's awesome about this scene, the very next scene is like Harry is revealing so much of himself to us, like
Yeah.
so much of what's important to him. His privacy is so important, and he's basically like, I'm not gonna get my mail here anymore. Like, how did you find out my birthday? How did you get in? What did you do with the alarm?
So paranoid.
And he's
that,
like, I don't want you to have a key. I don't care if my shit burns.
yeah. And I gotta point out here when he's walking up to his apartment building, I think this is the first time we hear the piano score for this film, which is amazing.
It's, when
David
the-
Shire is the composer, and just
Yeah, I think this song is a song that
Is it?
exists. Yeah, it's that song that she's singing. It's an interpretation of it. It's like sort of a version of it. It's the when the red robin comes bobbing along. I think
the
is,
piano. On it?
I think it's something like that. I may be wrong. Let me double check.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't pick that up if that's the case, but the piano throughout the movie is just so gorgeously dissonant but pretty at the same time.
A
And
lot of great jazz in this movie.
yeah, yeah. And it was really reminding me of Severance, the opening theme for Severance. And so I looked this up online, and a lot of other people agree with that. So if you've seen both of these, compare those two, because super interesting. Like same kind of chord progression with a dissonant melody over it, even like the same rhythm of the chords and stuff. It's very interesting.
Yeah, really good shit. Really good shit. Yeah, I think I'm wrong, but that is the name of the song that she sings. That gets that is sung later on as well.
Very pretty melody that's so haunting in the context of everything that's happening throughout the movie, because I feel like it kind of represents his, she's singing about a bird, and I feel like he's kind of like, not to dehumanize her, but like he's kind of seeing her as this like ray of sunshine, and that melody is like kind of what represents this like, like this life for him. And he kind of hooks onto that. Like it's a big emotional attachment throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. I will admit I was thrown off by some X-ray factoids.
X-ray factoids.
Yeah, like Amazon X-ray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so yeah, no, you're completely correct. It's an original composition, which is so funny because I thought like I connected it in my head. I was like, I started to hear like parts of it that had sort of been like reconstructed, because that's how powerful the human brain is.
Oh, yeah?
Dude. I had a bit of
100%.
a Harry Call moment myself, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so that's one of the things I'm very interested and excited to talk about, is that I think I basically understood everything that happened, but I'm not 100% if I actually understand everything that's happening at the end of the
Yeah,
movie. So
for
I'm
sure.
very excited to hear what your thoughts are on it, especially since you did it for school.
I think the striking aspect of the score as well is it's the jazz thing of like it's just as loud when it isn't there, right? Like when he first arrives at his house, there's no music, right? Like he turns off the alarm and it's
Yeah.
like silent. And then there's this really cool stationary shot as he goes to the kitchen and like grabs the phone, and we see him like sort of moving around. It feels very voyeuristic, like some like security camera footage, like CCTV, which will come into play at the very end as well. Some cool, fun, tasteful shit like that I love.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole setup here of just, how many layers he has in his apartment, multiple keys, the alarm, just how cautious he is about every single aspect of his life. And I think that setup is so fascinating and makes the ending work in a really interesting way for me, where so much of the movie I'm wondering, like, is there something wrong with him, like mentally? Like, has he lost his mind?
Absolutely.
And to what extent has he lost his mind? And while I do think, yes, he's lost his mind to an extent, you see why he's lost his mind. And the amount of paranoia you have getting so caught up in every single aspect of what it takes to be secure, and this emotional stakes that has on you and the people around you and all of that.
I think so much is presented to you to sort of justify where he's at, but I think there is enough, like, and this is the art to it. This is what elevates it, is the like percentage of gray area where you can decide or ask yourself, like, is that enough for me? What would I do? Like, because like would I take the same approach, right? Like cuz I think it is there are very interesting movies that are like sort of like you get cornered into like the fucking mindset of like the character and then they do something horrible and you're like, "Oh man, I get it. This fucks me up." But with this I feel like there's enough of like kind of like room to be like there's maybe still more under the surface like that we're not really like pointing to.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of amazing.
I just want to say very quickly with the shot I was talking about, it does like the fucking camera literally moves like just pans
Yeah.
very very like stiffly to him sitting on the couch, and so is that just that kind of like very like mechanical movement. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, no, I was that was actually my next note too, was just how much I love that living room shot, and yeah, just how it holds. You're just sitting on like, yeah, just a one shot of the apartment while he's moving about through it, and it's like, yeah, he goes and sits down on the couch and it takes a while for the camera to catch up with him, which I think is really cool and interesting. Just like very engaging camera work all around.
Yeah, and again, just getting you in the mindset of like who like being watched.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Um, yeah, he has his phone call here, as you said. He wants to make sure he has the only key to his apartment. How'd you know it was my birthday?
I wanted to mention the card he gets says that he's 44, and later on he's gonna be asked how old are you,
He says
and
42.
he says 42,
Yeah.
and the question is, did he lie
Right.
or
Which one's the lie?
did she get like the incorrect information?
Yeah. Or yeah, does he just tell a different age to everyone, which I would totally believe for how nervous and cautious he is
Yeah.
about every piece of information. That's good stuff.
Yeah, he learned to play saxophone for this movie.
Oh, okay. That's amazing because he's really good. I wasn't sure if it was actually him or not. That's great.
Yeah, and yeah, I love, like I was saying before, this movie does a good job of using different elements to evoke and emote too, because like this is a way of sort of showing his like inner state, like through
Yeah.
like the expression of the music.
Yeah, it's such because he's such a muted person, and here's
Yeah.
such a lively, fun instrument.
Yeah, I mean, I love the jazz in this movie.
Yeah.
It's so good. I feel like it is a jazz movie.
Totally.
Like it feels of the genre of like.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. The next thing I have is the next scene where he's going to work, and
Yeah, the
this whole
abandoned
set-
warehouse.
Yeah, and the elevator shot of him going up is super cool with the lighting and everything, and just what a set this empty warehouse is. Like they use the crap out of it throughout the movie for good reason. Like such amazing blocking of like the majority of it on this floor is just completely empty except their one little
Yeah.
corner, like where they have just a million gadgets and their whole setup here. I love this set.
Which he builds all himself.
Yes, is that it takes a while for that to be revealed, or does he reveal that early on? Because I feel like I didn't pick that up till the trade show when he's talking to someone.
No, he says it at the convention.
Yeah, that's when I caught that, and I was like, whoa, holy crap! So this guy's like an auteur. He's like a mega genius. That's a interesting thing with this movie too. Is when for a while I was like, okay, this is people who are good at stuff. This guy is clearly like Alfredo chose this movie because this guy is clearly very good at this. But it kind of takes its time letting you know just how revered he is and just how good at it he is. Like the other movies, it's very much kind of in your face right at the start. Like, oh, these people are like extreme naturals, and this is more of just like kind of letting you sit in this world and get kind of immersed in what he's doing, what his job is, but they don't really show how brilliant he is at it for like a little while, I think.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna talk about this at the end of the episode, but I will say just this right now. This movie I think does one of the best jobs showing like how like showing, not telling
Yeah.
how fucking good he is at this.
Yeah, totally. And just how focused he is. There's so much good, like we love just like all the jargon talk in these movies. And I love, we have Stanley here who's like talking about some other case while, some assignment while Harry Call is focused on in the
He's
recording.
talking about, he's reading a magazine that says that Harry is going to be at the convention. He's an expert in the field. And then he's like naming other people that are going to be there. And he mentions William B. Moran. And Harry says, since when did William B. Moran of Detroit become preeminent in the field? And this is the first time we hear that Moran is the guy who told Chrysler that Cadillac was discontinuing their fins.
Yeah, this is what I wrote down here. Yeah, just because it was just like such a very specific thing in the industry. I was like, that's great.
It's great, and I think it shows sort of the range of kind of jobs. Like, because you're like, what? Who the fuck are you working for? They're like, oh, corporate espionage. Like, and that's the thing. We're calling it surveillance throughout the movie, but this is like this is like private espionage, basically. Like, he is like,
it's like a private investigator, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking wild. I love it. Also, him cooking. This is what's fucking dope, dude. He's on the ones and twos, and he's like working the audio, like, and he's got these 3 different sources.
Yeah.
He's mixing together different parts.
Yeah.
I love it. And I noticed at one point, I was like, he was operating something, and I was like, that looks like the inside of a guitar pedal. And then I was like, oh no, it absolutely is, because he says he has a MOSFET amplifier that he designed himself. And like, that's a type of like fuzz or like distortion circuit that you can use. Yeah. And it's, oh man, I wish I knew about like soldering. Perhaps that'll be something I'll get into in the later half of my 30s, but that shit is so fucking cool looking.
Yeah, I wonder how much research and like just like who they brought on for, like, did they have a specialist who kind of set all this up, or like how specific and right on the nose is the technology in this and stuff, you know?
And I mean, to a certain extent, they know about microphones. They're working in the film industry. They know lots of audio people. It's a short walk to like be able to find someone who's going to be able to tell you about this equipment, right?
Totally, 100%.
We also didn't mention in the beginning, it looks like there's like snipers set up, but they're microphones, which is like so the vibe of this movie. That's like, this is not going to be like a run and gun thriller. This is like a very sort of intellectual like thing, you know?
Totally, 100%. And I didn't really pick up on this until later, so I don't know if this is the right spot to mention it, but throughout the movie, I started to pick up more and more. One of the genius things they did in the setup of the conversation at the beginning is the music that's playing around them talking, because it works as a point of reference for what he is doing every time he's fiddling with the you can hear how he's changing the frequencies based on where the music's at in order to bring out the clarity and quality of their voice, which is so smart.
It has a twofold purpose, because the music is what complicates the job as well,
right?
You know, like which they
and all the
talk
background
about later
noise
on
as well. It's just like with music, it's so smart because it's melody specific, where voices, it's much harder to discern that it's being distorted.
For sure.
Let's see. Oh, yes, and this is just where like I wrote down like, whoa, hearing the conversation after is crazy. And I think maybe this is where I picked up like, oh, the conversation. Like, okay, that's why the movie is called that. And yeah, just seeing them replay them talking.
It's an early Prestige as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does come up. The title does come up. But I love how it's if you're clever enough, you can sit there and just be like, this is the conversation. Because like, imagine sitting in the fucking theater and you're just like, I wonder when the conversation is going to happen, you know?
I think writing it down in the notes is just like, oh, like cool, like seeing the conversation later. Wait a second, like.
Anytime I wrote the conversation, I went,
got me.
Just like that old fucking Family Guy bit. Do you remember that?
Wait, which one?
Where he's like, I can't remember it, but he says something about like when they say the title of the movie in the movie, and like I think they say, do some stupid example. He goes, woo!
I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
I love him. This fucking him in the public transportation too. That's like a big part of this. This is filmed in San Francisco, by the way. Opening shot is in Union Square.
Cool.
But like,
I was wondering.
Don't
about
really
that.
see him like driving. You know, like he's riding the bus.
Yeah.
Supporting local transit.
Yeah, which is really interesting, and
also supporting phone booths a lot.
Like this is me reaching psychologically here, but I could almost attribute him not wanting a car to him not wanting another piece that he can be tracked in, that
Right.
he has any surveillance
License and registration, yeah, for
but
sure.
also an extent he is someone who doesn't like to be out of control, and there is an element of being out of control when you're driving, just because you're kind of at the mercy of everyone around you.
But even more so on a bus.
Yeah,
'Cause
true
somebody
too.
else is driving.
True too.
But it's a metaphor for the world, man, you know?
Yeah.
The fucking 1%, they're driving the fucking bus. I think like with the fucking the jacket again, dude. I just love the jacket.
Yeah, I kept like just looking at that. Like, is it a raincoat?
It is.
Is
It's
it
like
a
a
trench coat? Like, what is
little
this thing?
see-through raincoat.
Yeah,
thing.
and I saw it on some other people, so I just like that was just fun seeing a movie in the 70s or any time period that's foreign to your own. It's just like, whoa, dude! Like the way people dress, the hairstyles, everything. Jumping back to the recording a little bit, you start getting a little more context throughout the movie too of what they're saying. This is where I wrote down him asking her. I'm sorry, I forget their names. Anne and
Mark.
Mark is asking Anne, does it bother you walking around in circles? And like that felt like another significant line of like, okay, so why are they doing this?
Yeah.
What is there's just like so many layers of intrigue and mystery to like what the hell this conversation is about, why it's being requested, who is the one who requested it, like everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very much like what exactly is going on here. There are moments where you're like, is this simple just like infidelity, right? Because there are things I love the key moment that we'll get to when he finally like clears up that one specific line, and that's when like everything starts to boom, like sort of snap into place.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, dude, like fucking RIP phone booths. Like they're so good for cinema. They're so fun. Like they're such great like symbols, right? Like of this like public thing. It's almost like anonymous, but it's also like see-through.
Right. And there's so much tension with the payphone too, because anyone can just call it at any time, and you can call from anyone and every time, and you're so exposed when you're making a call at a phone booth. So if there's a tense conversation and you're surrounded by like the public, you know, anything can happen. For
sure. And like the purpose of the scene is to sort of set up a meeting with the director.
Right.
Sets up a meeting at 2 p.m. or whatever at
2:30.
2:30. And having seen the movie all the way through and knowing what happens when he does go to like meet, it's like there's this like, and then I'm just gonna say he's out of the country or whatever, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? Why would he set a meeting for a time when knows he's not gonna be there? Anyway, it's wild.
I have a lot of questions in general, but I kind of want to just like save it until we get to some of the bigger reveals. And stuff.
For sure. I think they do a good job of sort of like really contextualizing it at the very end, I'll say.
Yeah, I guess I have one thing where I don't know if I quite buy it, but I also don't know if I'm quite understanding it. So
yeah, for sure. And I think maybe that's even on purpose, because we kind of really see it from like Harry's perspective, right?
Totally.
But and then I love a really cool sound design thing, because there's lots of really cool sound design things happening throughout the movie. The way that like footsteps sound down hallways, like the thing about Harry's voice being mixed low, sometimes very like naturalistic dialogue where it's not like super important to have like a very clear audio, right? Like you're like, they're doing these things where people are a little bit harder to hear even sometimes, even if you're watching the movie with like headphones.
And I almost never turn on the subtitles unless it's like, a foreign language, obviously. Just because I like to like not have my eyes drawn away from the visuals. But sometimes, like, especially if I'm watching it late at night and I don't want to blast my neighbors, I do like struggle to hear every single line. And this movie is so about every single line that I was very tempted to turn it on for this. But I kind of also like that I didn't quite hear everything because it was adding to this interest, I
actually I usually watch with subtitles. I started watching it and I got halfway through and I realized I wasn't watching it with subtitles on, and then I put them on. It was very funny experience.
Interesting.
I did watch it pretty late, but whatever. as speaking of the sound design, the sound of the bus cables, like on those like electric powered buses, it's
Yeah.
just such a fucking like relatable noise. Like, I wish I could like insert a little piece of the noise here, but I love that sound. It's really great. We get that as Harry's rolling up to what's her name?
I didn't
Amy's
catch it.
house.
Amy? Okay.
Yes, as he's pulling up to Amy's house.
What an interesting character Amy is, bro.
Yeah.
This whole sequence is super interesting. And just like it, like I was saying, the structure of this movie is so weird, right? Like, usually you introduce a character like this, they're going to come back in a big way, right? You don't set this up, but she doesn't, right? Like, and that's very telling to who Harry is.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're telling secrets and wine.
This is where he says he's 42 as well.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, because he says, you know, oh, it's my birthday, I got this bottle of wine. So I didn't know it was your birthday. And immediately she expresses a desire to know more about him, right?
Yeah, and the second time, you know, kind of turned it around on me, but there was part of me wondering, like, I get that he's mysterious and, like, you know, it's Gene Hackman who's sexy, but, like, this is not a ladies' man, right? Like, he's so unemotionally available and, like, so uninterested in the women around him. I'm like, what? Like, it felt a little forced to me that, like, women seemed, like, to love him so much, but, like I said, they kind of make it make sense the second time. So that's which got me reflecting on Amy here, where I'm like, well, is this like a true love type thing where she just like she does really get him, you know, and they are meant for each other, or is she espionage, you know? And that's like the layers of this movie.
I don't even know if it's like there's so many different ways to look at it, because like it's all grays here because he pays for her rent, you know, like that.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he's like, your rent
Sugar
is past
daddy.
due. Here is the money for it.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, she does seem so like genuinely interested in him.
I mean, she kind of breaks up with him at the end, right? So it wasn't about the money, right?
Yeah, and that's why it felt. I think it's supposed to feel genuine, like the first time.
Yeah.
But then I think when he goes to call her later on, and there's there's no listing of that, it feels like kind of ratchets up the paranoia a little bit. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And I think also that's, as the movie progresses, we realize like, oh, Harry's really well known. Like, it isn't like a bad. It's not crazy that someone would want to like bug him to see what he's working on, because he is the best in his field. So he's going to have some crazy wild jobs. And if you can get that information, then you can turn it and sell it, right? And if you're Harry, you can see, right, the benefit of it.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier, just about how the movie does, such a good job of showing why he's like this throughout the movie.
Also, like, the hesitation before he walks in, and she talks about it too.
Yeah.
Like, she says that she's seen him standing there for over an hour watching, like he's gonna catch her doing something.
Yeah. And this is the first time I really got the sense, oh, there might be something like really wrong with him, or like he's like really messed up, because she basically talks about him like he's stalking her, and like the way that she says that sometimes she thinks he's listening to her on the phone calls, and the way he reacts makes me feel like he probably is. Because he gets immediately very offended. And then she also said that sometimes he'll like open the door into her apartment really fast, like he's trying to catch her.
She says he always opens the door like that. I think
like
the way you open the door is like you're gonna catch me doing something. It's fucking great.
It's really good. Yeah.
But also
very weird and
creepy.
It is
so weird. I love, also shout out to the wicker basket Chianti bottle here. Very classic fucking look. She starts singing the song. Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
and
again,
he's like,
eerie.
Where did you hear that song? Oh, I also wanted to say, I think, honestly, my read on it at this point is, like, that he wouldn't do that. Like, that he
wouldn't bug her phone?
He wouldn't bug her phone. And, like, that he does have that, like, professional distance.
Yeah.
Like, that's my read of it, is, like, sort of, like, insulted by the notion.
Maybe, yeah, because he does really freak
But
out
again,
later
it's all grays.
when he gets bugged. So
Yeah.
maybe it is kind of a line you don't cross for
It
him.
feels like it, yeah, for him for sure. I mean, he's got lines like it's just casually an aspect of him that he's a devout Roman Catholic.
Yeah, I love that about his character.
I like it too. It's good.
It's so because like any kind of like big defining characteristic, I really like when stories don't make that the characteristic of a character, right? Like the whole movie is not about him finding his religion.
I mean,
or
he
something.
drinks, he hangs out with women, he plays jazz music. It's
just another one of his things that define who he is in a very real human way, and I really appreciate that.
And we have some cool shit that comes out of it. We have the confession that he'll do later, and then his interaction with his little Virgin Mary figurine. I love that. It's so telling. We're setting up these visual things through aspects of his character.
Yeah, I also like that he tells her he's a freelance musician.
Yeah, that was great.
Pretty good.
Also, them kissing while she's asking the personal questions. So awkward. So awkward. Really good.
Yeah, and it's just it does kind of feed into maybe she's just trying to get info out of him, I don't know, man. I don't know. It gets in your head.
Okay, look. She is a woman in a relationship with this man, and he refuses to tell her anything about him.
But which makes me, why is she interested in him in the first place? If he doesn't... That's the thing that I struggled with anyone who was interested in him in this movie, where it's he literally does not show a single sign that he is interested in you other than physical affection, It
might also be who maybe a sugar daddy thing, or it was a financial arrangement, and as he refused to tell her anything about himself over and over again, the curiosity grows, and maybe because he takes care of her and he's mysterious.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
there's so much
there
that you can fill in there. I think the importance of the scene to me at the top sort of level thing is that it's showing his reluctance to talk about himself. It's showing his one really sort of intimate relationship and how dysfunctional it is,
Is it insensitive that at a certain point I was wondering if they'd both just have autism and they're clicking with each other because she's so eccentric and strange too?
Yeah, I like her. It's Terry Garr. I like the performance here. There's something really sort of lovable about her.
She's great. Yeah, she has one line before he's leaving and it's so sweet and cute, but also just such a strange thing to say, where she's my toes were dancing under the covers when I thought you were coming in. And I'm oh, that's so sweet, but also weird.
I love it. That was so fucking cute. I would love it for somebody to say that about me. It would make me very happy. And I love that the next thing that she says is that I can't wait anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it feel so authentic to me, is that she's just kind of
yeah,
I love you, but I can't do this anymore,
Yeah, totally. It's interesting scene. And it is heartbreaking where he pauses for a moment because he kind of realizes this means he'll lose her if he goes. But then he leaves. And I guess his conclusion is, one of the things he says to her before he leaves is, "You used to not ask questions."
Yeah.
That is the line for him in a relationship.
I mean, and he states it later on. He does his basically his little classifieds ad to Meredith when they're partying at the warehouse.
Right.
So we see Harry on the bus. This is a fun little moody number because it's there's this play of light and dark, and then it suddenly all goes dark on the bus. The power goes down for a second or something, and we cut back to there's tasteful uses of flashbacks in this.
Yeah.
I love the way they use it when he's cooking, because they are flashbacks, right? But it's because he's playing the audio and we're connecting it to the visual of it. But he has this flashback to the couple, Mark and Anne.
Yeah.
And I was is he longing for is he aquatically longing? No, I'm just joking. But is he longing for what they have in a way?
Yeah,
and it was this moment of reflection in this darkness, right? That I thought was kind of I mentioned, a lot of the scenes are very long and breathe for a very long time. This scene is one of the briefer scenes, and so you ask yourself, why is it there, and what is the purpose of it? I felt like there was a sort of I'm choosing my path, right? Like, you know, I'm not gonna like give too much of myself to a romantic relationship. Like, I need to like stay on path. And it actually has the dual read because he's both like it's the couple who's his assignment, but they also seem to be romantically involved. So there's this like double thing.
Totally.
Classic double thing.
It's a classic double thing.
Classic double thing.
We need a soundboard.
We do. Classic double thing. I love the look of the director's office, by the way. Have you ever seen Il Conformista, The Conformist?
No.
It has a very like so it's a movie about like Italian fascism in like the 1970s basically.
Yeah.
Like if like Italy was still this like fascist state then. And it's this commentary on conformism, on like, you know, like homogeneity. But the look of this office is very like of that to me. Like it has a kind of like especially the entrance and the like the facade and like the desk where he like meets like the clerk or whatever. There's something just very sort of like oppressive about it.
Yeah, I can see that. It's I just found a lot of the like all of the architecture in this movie really striking. Even his apartment just has this vibe to it that I don't know what every like structure and room is trying to say specifically, but it does feel like every location is important and trying to say something.
Yeah, and I think honestly like it is like very San Francisco movie. I feel like a lot like cuz all of these are like the square and everything. These are all I don't know, there's something about it that's very unique sort of like architecture to it that like you don't really see like on the West Coast or on the East Coast.
I also, if I was going to watch it again, I only really noticed this at the end, but I wonder if there is a lot of kind of background metaphor of constructing buildings and like a building being used as like symbolism for Harry's state of mind. And I only really noticed this at the end, like I said, but
yeah, with the like fucked up building. Yeah.
Well, but on his way, yeah. So at the we'll get there, but there's more than just that one. But yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, Harrison Ford shows up here. I'm just like, holy crap.
I also thought it was interesting. We see how attached Harry is to the package, to the assignment, because he's not just going to leave it at the desk. He needs to hand it off personally.
Yeah, and this is so interesting because we have no idea what his deal is yet. We don't know what his PTSD is here yet. And just, again, trying to separate, for me as a first-time viewer, how much of this is Harry being just paranoid and kind of an insane person, and how much of it is actually weighted behind these kind of emotional, logical decisions. And you realize that more and more throughout the movie.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, like, it feels sketch, but it also feels like just fucking walk away, man. Like, you know, like you said, you don't care. You just, you know, you just want to like do the job and get the audio.
Yeah. And just again, great escalation. The stakes are dangerous. The way when he tries to grab the files back, what's Harrison Ford's character again?
His name is Martin Stett.
Martin. The way how aggressively Martin holds on to the case files was
the most violent part of the movie.
Well, there's
date.
another wrestling scene on the staircase later in the movie.
No, it's the most violent part of this movie
to this point in the movie. Absolutely, yeah. And the aggression you get from Martin here really is a tell for how this is very important. This isn't just in his head how important these documents are because of how. Yeah, there's like viciousness in Martin's eyes when he's trying to get the files back from him here.
Yeah.
And that's your first tell. And Harry's immediately like, well, if I wasn't sketched out before, I'm very sketched out now.
The blocking is so good. Yeah. He tosses like the money to him and like and then he tells him to take a cookie. So he like picks up the cookie.
Christmas cookie.
And then he's like, I want to hand it directly to the director. And he's like, he's out of the country. So then he puts the cookie back in, tries to hand him like, so he's like, now he's like I was gonna eat the cookie, but now I don't trust you. Like, I love trust as cookie, and so it's Cinema Forecast. We believe in trust as cookie, and that fun is the enemy of the nitpick. So he puts the cookie back in the bowl. Gross, by the way. But you know what? Whatever. I love it. And then he hands the money back, and then they wrestle over it, which is such. Lots of really good blocking in this in this movie in general.
Yeah.
In this scene, it's so good because we do have him sort of leaving as well, and Martin's like, "Don't get involved," and then Harry is like leaving the office, and he sees the man from the couple, Mark. I think I said his name was.
Yeah, Mark and Anne.
Yeah, so he sees Mark, and he's like, you have this moment where you're like, see his face, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
And then he gets in the elevator. And then she gets in. Yeah, it's so fucking good. Like, it's really well done because you're like, the elevator's going down, and you're like, okay, is like the scene gonna like cut? Is it going to is something else gonna happen? Is like, because there is a part where Martin, right before he gets on the elevator, is like holding the envelope of money down the hallway at him, still like trying to tempt him last time.
The elevator, and Martin does kind of threaten him here, where he says, "Someone may get hurt."
Yeah,
that's a threat to me. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
What are you implying, sir?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, then Anne gets in, and you're like, what? At this point, I don't think you know their names. I think you only really get it like at the end of the movie. I think.
Yeah, I was just writing woman and man for most of it. Oh no, okay. This is one I wrote. The conversation. Oh, I get it. Put a star next to it. I don't know what that was exactly.
When Harry's going back over the recordings?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely wrote some notes here. Like, we get the, does it bother you walking around in circles again?
Yeah.
Which feels so sort of like telling of what he's doing.
Yeah.
Walking around in circles with the tape over and over again.
Yeah.
And this is like the sort of big conflict between Stan and Harry, where Stan's wearing his little pocket protector, legitimate like fucking pocket protector. Looks like a fucking nerd. I love it. And he's like, let's take a fucking break, dude. I'll buy you a beer. Who the fuck cares? And he even says, what a stupid conversation. You know, I love that. It was good.
Yeah.
And Harry's like basically like, Stan, shut the fuck up and let me cook, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, he's too focused in the zone. His obsession, right? Like in terms of themes, obsession's probably the biggest theme from our list in this movie, right?
For the listening audience, I just shrugged.
Yeah, hard to say.
No, I did a very coy look, and then I shrugged.
Yeah, it's hard to say just one. But, and I'm not saying that's the big theme in the movie, but in terms of the themes we've listed out, like obsession, like over and over again.
Yeah, for sure. I think another one here is there's a lot of like sort of like what am I trying to say? Agency versus like being swept up in like the like, despite being an expert, like how caught up are you in the whims of others?
Yeah.
But yeah, obsession is probably it. Obsession is the big thing because obsession is paranoia, right? Like they feed into each other. And this movie is like a paranoid sort of like masterpiece.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to sum up this movie, paranoid masterpiece.
Well, this is also where we first get Harry not liking that Stan is taking the Lord's name in vain.
Yep. That's the next thing I had down.
I also feel like we really see how discombobulated he is, right? He doesn't seem like, I understand he wants to like focus and Stan is distracting him, but like the other aspect of it that's like, bro, like why are you so hot right now? Like, he seems real fucking tense.
Right. Yeah, and it
makes sense because like, he has, like you said, kind of been threatened and like shit, like tension is ratcheting up,
Yeah, he's triggered by everything that just happened based on what we find out later, right? I mean, that's really the kind of the key to who Harry is this previous traumatic incident he had before.
Yeah.
That's kind of where all this comes from.
Absolutely.
Is what the movie's hinting at.
And like now that you have the context, this next part hits so much harder because like you're getting this blurred sort of like like Mark is saying something and then Anne is responding, I think he's been recording my telephone calls.
Right.
And then like Harry's trying to zero in and he finally gets it and you hear him say he'd kill us if he got the chance.
Right.
And one of the things I did realize is that there is the different read at the end of the movie where he goes, he'd kill us if he got the chance. Where he says it in a way where it's like implying we're gonna kill him, right? Like,
Yeah, that's wild.
I love that aspect of the movie too. That's
Yeah, it's
so good, so film.
it's so good. Yeah.
Film.
I mean, they do such a good job of making you believe what they're trying to make you believe in order to pull the rug out from under you. Just like it's just masterful twist building, right? Like, totally. And he also tells Stanley here right before this realization that he's slipping, that his work is slipping.
Yes.
Which is this is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for Stanley, as we'll find out, where he kind of decides to leave their partnership.
Well, I think I think it's a little bit like, because when they talk later on, he does say, "Hey, man, it was just like an argument, right? Like, that's okay." And Stan kind of says something where I was like, I think it's also because he's so closed off.
Yeah. Well,
Like, I think that's actually a big part of it. And it's
that's
like,
why I said straw that broke the camel's back, because I
but
think
like, I really do feel like that scene later tells you it's not that you told me that I was slipping; it's that you never like opened up to me.
well, that's what I was thinking of it more so, is that's like the underlying reason is that he doesn't feel like he respects him enough to trust him with this information, but at least he respects my work. But like, oh, now you're also saying
Yeah, that makes
suck at
sense.
my
for
job?
Sure.
No.
It's also like a classic sort of like projection, or it's like a deflection thing, right? Like, hey, I'm trying to like talk to you and like connect with you,
Right.
and then you criticize me, which makes both of them hurt more.
Yeah, and just Gene Hackman's performance here, standout, I thought, in the movie. I don't have his full monologue. Just at the end of it, he says something like, "This is my business," and like he just has a great like neurotic, eccentric little like outburst here to end the fight before he uncovers the "he'd kill us if he got the chance" line. And this is also where I wrote down the frequency thing, because it was the drums specifically here that he's tuning out, and you really get to watch him twist the knobs to tune out the
Yeah,
frequency
you can
of
hear.
the drums.
It's almost like there's like a he's listening at it first, and then like it's like he puts like a low. Would it be a high pass filter or a low pass filter? But like, yeah, like essentially stripping like all the lower frequencies out.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just the way that you hear the music starting again, really, really well done.
I mean, it's a beautiful, just like a masterpiece
The sound editing is really fucking good. Like,
way to
so
show
good.
you this, right? Like insane way to actually be able to get you in the head of someone in this just through just sonically.
I'm
right?
very curious how they did all that. Like, I would love to just watch like hour long, 2 hour long like documentary about like how they executed all the audio aspects of this movie.
Because like you said, if some of the lines are redone, how much of it is actually them just walking around talking, how much of it is just post, and then them, because that would be the easiest way to do it, right? You record them all saying this stuff separately, you record the music separately, then you just put them all together, and you can just fine tune it that way, so you don't actually have to do what Harry's doing and like pull something out of a cacophony.
Especially since he's like the preeminent expert in his field. I also love Stan riding away on his scooter
Yeah, the scooter was
inside
there.
the building. It's so good.
And it's just like leaving him alone too. There's a lot of shots of just the empty side of the warehouse,
Right.
just like to represent how lonely it is to be Harry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great visual metaphor. Speaking of which, we get to the church, right? And this is where we realize, okay, Harry, he's Catholic.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's an FFC movie, you know. And actually, there's a little boy who walks out of the confession booth, and that is a Coppola, a little Coppola boy.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact.
I don't remember. It's Giancarlo Coppola.
Wow.
Yeah, and the priest in the booth is Richard Hackman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's his brother.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so cool. I didn't know he had siblings. That's wild. Yeah, and I just getting inside of his head. I mean, what's a better way to get in a character's head than a confession?
Yes. I
right?
love his he took the Lord's name in vain.
Steals newspapers.
Yeah, and he deliberately taken pleasure in impure thoughts.
Yeah.
And then we get the big reveal about involved in work that would hurt people right now.
Yeah.
That's not the big reveal, but he says
people
it's
were
happened
hurt.
before.
People were hurt because of my work.
Yeah.
Which is heavy, dude.
Well,
yeah.
he says that he is currently involved in work that could hurt people, and then he says it's happened before.
Okay.
Which I love that. Like, it's like so ominous. I'm like, well, also and haunting. Like, really, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it hits like you're saying he's got this trauma from this job that he did.
Yeah.
And it definitely speaks to that, the way he says it. It's happened before, you know?
Totally. Then we get the big surveillance convention
Yeah, this is I feel like a pretty big scene. It goes on
Yeah.
for a little while,
I would
and it is
say
definitely like a tone setter for what this, like, providing more context for where Harry sits in
yeah,
this hierarchy and how this world sort of works
totally.
outside of Harry.
Uh I love this movie. I would say this whole sequence, the conference, and then the following party at the warehouse went on a little too long for me, just like both of them, where it just felt like it was kind of hanging. Like I wanted more momentum in what the story was doing, but it was kind of more getting you immersed, like you were saying. And I really liked that. I just felt like it could have been a little less of that.
I think it is also like Harry is ultimately going to be like his paranoia is gonna, like, he lets himself relax, and like is so punished for
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
And I think part of the way that it like goes on, and again, it could always be a mood thing, but for me, I did like the pacing of it, and I think especially the direction that the movie's going to go with the tension that we're having. It's nice to have a little bit of this sort of like, like this nice sort of like chiller part, right?
Yeah, and I would say this is kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning, where if I watched it again with different expectations of what kind of movie it was going to be, like this is kind of where the like I feel like they set up the thriller aspect of it really well, and then it kind of like chills out, like you were saying, and I was expecting a bit more momentum. So I feel like it leans into more of the artsy psychological side of it, and I think that was just like an expectations thing for me, where I wanted the continued momentum of this thread and this buildup, but instead it kind of like takes a back seat for this whole section. Still like excellent. Like I was still entertained.
I think there's a nice, during this part, there is a midpoint where there is like the like threat resurfaces that
Yeah.
I think is well done.
Yeah, totally.
Because we have all of the convention shit going on, all the gadgets, but there is and we do get more Harry meeting Bernie Moran, and
We also find out he builds his own equipment here.
yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
great.
And before that, we get the guy who's kind of like made his own gadget, and he wants to give it to give it to Harry so
For
that he
free.
can test it. Yes,
Yeah.
because when he finds out who he is, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's another aspect of this scene where I'm like, oh damn, like I didn't realize
He was this big of a deal.
how big he was. And I love that. He also says that, Bernie Moran like stole like his like
Oh, it was Bernie that stole it? I didn't catch that because
Yeah.
I didn't know who Bernie was yet, so wasn't really clocking the name. That's great.
I mean, I think he refers to him as Moran, and
right.
then we get Paul introducing the two of them,
Yeah.
Harry
Oh,
and Bernie.
Real quick, I just got to say that I do think that is intentional that it's such a late reveal. Like I was saying, the other movies is made very clear that he is or that the main character is like this like brilliant savant in their field. Here it's so good with this character because just like everyone else around him, you as the audience are also not let into who this dude is, and I think
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Actually, I just remembered looking at my notes. So before he meets Bernie, he sees Martin Stett on the CCTV.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fucking sick shot. I
Yeah.
love that. He's like looking at the different, and it starts with his face, and he like looks around, he sees Martin, and then like goes back, and it cuts back to like the look on his face of like sort of like, I don't know if horror is the right word, but like sort of like he's freaked out
Yeah.
for sure.
And I would be too. This guy just starting to kill you.
Yeah. So I think I really feel like the like most so I do like I do like those aspects. I feel like they sort of like dip you back into it.
Yeah.
The party at the warehouse too. I think I liked. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it as we get to it.
He's seeing like a presentation and just the lighting in this
It's
shot
so dark.
when he gets pulled out, just very Godfather to me. Like the guy walking up to him, just like complete darkness. I just thought the lighting was extremely striking.
This is where Paul pulls him out to introduce him to Moran.
Yes. Which they know each other, right?
Paul is the cop.
No. But I mean, he knows Bernie already.
No,
No,
they've
this
never
is the
met before.
Oh, okay. He
There's
talks like he's so familiar with him. I guess that's just Bernie's personality.
because he knows his reputation.
Yeah.
But like that's a big part of it. Then like a big part of like their whole conversation in like the warehouse as well is that this is their first meeting, right?
Okay, gotcha.
And Bernie
gotcha.
is basically like we're the two best guys in the business. Like
Well, he was saying we never ran into each other in New York, but I just thought that was him kind of referring to their past of like, well, why didn't I ever see you around before then? But yeah, I
no,
must have
there's
just missed it.
no, yeah. I feel like that's funny because there's a lot of like, yeah, I've never met you before. Like,
Okay, yeah, I missed it.
he's very like, yeah, very, and like part of his like whole like wanting to like drill him with fucking questions, like because he's known of this guy for fucking years,
Yeah.
who he knows is better than him, even
Yeah.
though he's saying you're the best on the West Coast, I'm the best on the East Coast,
Right.
But yeah, this is also we get his demonstration of his gadget where he can like turn a telephone into like a room mic.
Which is wild and kind of horrifying.
Yeah, pretty
Because you can
wild.
call without hearing a ring.
It doesn't ring, yeah.
And then it'll just be on.
And he's doing some of that phone hacking I was talking about. He has a little harmonica to play the tone in.
Which is goofy as hell.
Yeah,
I was debating for a while, like, is this guy just like a fraud? Like, because this is so over the top. But then it's like,
No, that's real. That's based in like truth for sure.
Using a harmonica?
No, certain tones and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you like, people used to be able to make free calls at payphones by like using like transmitting certain because all that worked on frequencies.
Right. That's wild.
So they would use different tones like to like do different things.
For sure. No, I mean it makes sense. It was
People
just,
did wild shit
it was just
back
so
then,
it
dude,
just
with that
reminded
shit.
me of the like the classic like salesman who's like selling the beanstalk beans or whatever, just like here's some magic thing to do some crazy piece of technology. Oh, and you have to blow into it with a harmonica. Like it just was so over the top. I'm like, is this guy for real? Like but
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
good
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, for me, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense that it would be a device activated by like a certain tone because that is something that definitely exists
Hell yeah.
and existed a lot
Oh,
back then.
and this is when he gives him the free pen.
Yeah, the way he like stares down at it too. I love that there's the mirrored shot of later on where he realizes it's the bug.
Yeah.
But
totally.
yeah, you're like you can tell he did not. And in the moment when he does put it in his pocket, you're like, man, why this guy's touching Harry? He's acting real familiar. Harry does not like that.
I think that's I must have missed the lines of introduction because I was taking notes or something, and just like how familiar Bernie acts with him. I was just like, okay, they must go back a little bit, but nope, not at all.
And we get the thing again when Paul introduces him. He's like, this is the guy who told Chrysler that Cadillac was
Right.
discontinuing their fins.
Right.
Which I always love, like things like that in movies where it's like, this guy, this is what he's known for, and people always say it the same way.
Totally. We also get him pleading with.
Sorry, I was gonna say it's good in a PWAGAS movie too because it is like these are people who are good at stuff. What are they known for? Like, he's known for this job. It's like in Hackers. They keep saying that what's his name, like McCool or whatever, or Cool.
Haven't seen it.
Well, anyway, the guy, the main hacker, they're like, oh yeah, he's the one who like hacked X thing when he was like 13 years old or whatever. Always love those things. It's just
Yeah, I
fun.
mean, we got that a little bit in each of the movies, right? Like in Perfume, it's like, oh, this is this old famous perfumer. What was the name of the perfume that they were trying to copy and stuff? And he's like, oh, he's a hack, but he's still the leading guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, yeah, I feel like, but it's not repeated. Like, that's what I like about it. I don't really feel like we got it that much in any of the other movies, if I'm being a hundo P. Like, you never heard, like, oh, that's Reed Rothschild. That's the guy who, like, fucked 100 women, like, in a day.
Right, you
or
just
something.
get, like I'm thinking Searching for Bobby Fischer, you get the guy in the back of the room who's like, oh, he won the chess champion in 1953 or blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's not really like...
It's not like anytime you hear this person's name, there's this, like, sentence attached to it,
Totally. But yeah, so he's pleading with Stanley here, who's now just kind of what was he doing here exactly? Like he's just kind of
He's working for Moran.
Okay, gotcha.
Because he tells wow, you really I get why you didn't like this part. You just checked out for the scene.
Maybe
But
so.
he's wearing the blazer and everything, and he says, Moran says, Stanley, come watch the booth while I go get a drink.
Gotcha.
And I love the blocking of it too, because he kind of like walks up to him, and like Stanley kind of like has his eyes cast down, doesn't look at him, and like sidesteps, and then Harry like staring at him like sidesteps again, like very like sidesteps towards him. And I love this talk between them. Like there's this very like sincere moment with Harry where he's like really kind of like opening up.
Yeah, and I love it's such a good relationship because like I said, this is probably the person Harry trusts more than anyone, and he's willing to tell him that he's being followed. And what I really love here in terms of like we stand a good bromance, and that the fact that Stanley doesn't doubt him for a second. He's like, "Oh, you're being followed. All right, I'll help you out." Like that's great. Like most movies, it would be like, "Oh, come on, really?" But he's like, "No, this guy knows what he's doing. I've worked with him long enough. I respect the crap out of him. If he says he's being followed, I believe him."
Yeah, or even like go fuck yourself, right? Like you're an asshole to me, like go fuck yourself. But no, man, like I do like that aspect of it. It is a little bit more realistic in a way where it's like, relationships don't just like get severed like by the cut of a like ribbon, right? It is like this like more like it will tend to be more drawn out, and there is this give and take between like personal relationships.
And Stanley just wants to feel, like I was saying, he doesn't feel like Harry respects him. So I think this is kind of what he wanted. He wanted him to come and like show him that he cares about this relationship.
For sure.
And it shows that he needs him. And
it is a show of opening up for sure.
Yeah.
I love how the next part with the payphone starts with him on the model of Union Square, which is where the movie started.
Right.
So cool. I love a fun little thing.
Yeah.
And this is him trying to call Amy, like we said, and he asks for a listing for Amy Fredericks. It's a newer listing, and the operator says doesn't see any listings for an Amy Fredericks. And then he gets off the call, and who else is there but Han Solo?
Yeah. Nope. Confronting I didn't catch his name for a while either, so I just kept putting down Ford for him.
Yeah, Martin Stett.
Yeah, confronting Martin here, pretty tense. I love Harrison Ford in this, man. It's so cool to see him as a menacing presence, because like I was saying, he's basically just immediately as soon as he showed up in Hollywood, it felt like, boom, you are the front hero of every movie you will ever be in.
Yeah, I like this role for him, especially at this point in his career. He kind of has like this like bratty sneer because he's so young.
Yeah.
He feels like young finance bro, and he's just kind of like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
While having this this weighty screen presence to him, and just great stuff. It's cool. It's just really great to see this actor I'm so familiar with and something so different.
Yeah, and he says, I'm just the messenger trying to set up a meeting with the director. And I love how Harry says, you tell him I'll think about it.
Yeah, he wants him to deliver the tapes at Sunday at 1. And then so they're leaving.
This is great.
All the girls up front. And just like
Paul, the girls, Harry, and then you got the guys in the back.
Yeah, it's very
boys in the back.
Very fun.
This is really this is a fun little
the Mustang chase
side thing. Yes,
so random.
How he calls in with the plate to be able to yell his personal information at him, his height, his weight, his address. And it is like this. What I love about it is that like it's such a violation of the guy's privacy, right? And like this sort of very unique way that he can retaliate that is available to him, but that Harry is like there somewhat complicit in it. There's something about it where it's like it feels like the start of like you're like letting your guard slip a little bit, or like like you're getting a little messy,
Yeah, and I just love seeing these guys flex on each other in their like very specific niche thing that they're really, really good at, right? They're all just like, look what I can do. Like this is shortly followed.
Because this guy's a cop. He like calls in using like the police radio.
Yeah, and I love that when they get back to Harry's place, he's taking a second to get the locks on this door, and I think it's Bernie who's like, you want me to get that lock for you, sweetheart? Like they're all trying to show off like that they can all pick locks, they can all get through any bit of security. Like that's just their way of being like tongue-in-cheek playful with each other. Like
Harry does win the foot race, the little foot race that they have.
Yeah.
Actually, what's funny is this scene is probably where I have like the most notes, because I felt like there's just so much information being dropped
it's
through
an amazing sequence
through these conversations.
Sometimes it just felt like it was hanging on it a little too long, where it's just like not much happening, but just like slow tension building stuff. Like it's still, like I said, very good. I just this fall, like coming right after the convention, I started like wanting more momentum in the story.
Yeah, I felt like it moved. I felt like it moved. We'll see what you think on the rewatch.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we immediately start, and like you said, Bernie is rather familiar. Like he says something about like, I was reading an old Dear Abby. It was from Lonely and Anonymous. I think that was Harry, right? Like kind of like poking fun at him, like how he's like a little weird, which is another PWAGAS thing. That's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're great in the field. You don't really fit in with the rest of the people.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's the case for all of them except Boogie Nights, where he's just kind of like, he fits in with everyone, but he's just kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
But
No,
the other
for
ones
sure.
are definitely, they do feel more like outcasts.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, Boogie Nights is very much like band of misfits, right? Like
Totally.
traveling circus shit. And then we get this is the whole toast, like to Harry, the best bugger on the West Coast, and who's the best on the East? Well, I'd say it's me.
Yeah, and Bernie talking, just all of the flexing, man, is so funny to me. He's talking about how he tapped his first phone when he was 12 and all that.
Yeah, the guy who was supposed to originally play this character, his name is like, I think like Fred Carey or something. I can't remember his name, but he's like some really eccentric performer that they wanted to get to do this. But he was like really wild and asked like for kind of like, I think he wanted one of the producers to like mow his lawn for him or something. I don't know. It was kind of wild. And he was kind of like too eccentric. So they were like, you know what? Let's just get someone else in this.
Interesting.
So from the beginning, he, I think, is supposed to be conceptualized as like this, like, snake oil salesman sort of guy,
Snake
right?
oil is what I was looking for. Yeah, for sure.
Is it snake oil? Yeah, snake
Yeah.
oil.
100%.
Tiger balm.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and just feel free to cut me off if you have more stuff here. The next thing I have is I really like the shot of him and what's the lady's name he's with? Meredith.
Yes, there's some things before that, but go ahead.
Just the shot of they kind of walk off alone together, and he kind of walks away from her a little bit, and she calls after him, do you live far from here? And she's kind of out of frame, and it's just him standing in the very empty warehouse. I just thought that was like
there's
super
a lot
evocative.
of really fun shots with that.
Yeah.
I think, is that the shot that ultimately culminates with the like scooter coming in?
It's before that, because they still have their whole like very intimate conversation after this. It's like when they're first walking away. She's like basically asking him a lot of questions, and he's shutting her down, and then decides to open up to her a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because that's the part that starts with her like where she bangs her head, and she's like, "Oh no, it's fine. I used to like do it on purpose."
Yeah, which is such a
what
weird.
the fuck?
What's wrong
so
with you,
fucked
lady?
up. But before this, we get the seeds. Like he said, the whole thing about them crossing paths in New York. The mention. This is the first mention, the first seed of the Teamsters job. That Bernie's like, so how'd you do the Teamsters job? And you see Harry very reluctant, like doesn't want to talk about it at all. And then then Meredith kind of intercedes to like distract the conversation. And then I do love them all like playing with the phones. That was hella funny.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, are they actually talking to someone? Are they pretending? Like, I don't care. It's silly. They're like drunk or whatever. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great. As much as like, I was just saying, I like, my nitpick of the pacing, I do just love like hangout scenes. Like it was
fun.
It was another thing in Boogie Nights I loved, right? Just
I want
like
to
all,
hang
all
out in
these
that
party.
warehouse, dude, with all those gadgets.
Yeah, it's such a cool setup.
You have a sick fucking show in that fucking warehouse, dude.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. Totally. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that'd be the best for sound, like all that concrete. I feel like I don't know.
It would be great. It would sound awesome.
Might be a little too echoey. But
It would be great. It would be dope. It would be fucking rock and roll.
it would be rock and roll, 100%. He asks her, "You still married?" And she says, "I don't know, probably."
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I was like, I like how she's like, you must not like me very much, like, cause
Yeah.
you're, and he's like, what, why? And she's like, cause you're not like fucking talking to me, like.
Yeah, and this was another like so again, like they pay this off for me, but this was now it was gnawing at me. It was like, okay, so I can get one woman being really interested in him, But then like another woman is now also super interested in this guy who's completely shut off and reserved and doesn't like give you the time of day. Like
I mean, he's tall. He's got a
he's
nice
handsome.
mustache.
He's very mysterious. Like there is a mysterious, and he's very rich, right? And he's very
I don't know, man. I don't really question those things that much because I have seen all sorts of shit. You know, like people becoming magnetically attracted to like people that you wouldn't expect. You know, it just happens all the time. You know.
Sure. It's just the pattern of it, I guess. Just like these two women kind of obsessed with him immediately. Like as soon as we see him with a woman.
I mean, they're all like. I think there's also this aspect of it. They're all like sort of like. This movie is a lot of like middle-aged people, like in like their 40s, you know, and stuff. And I don't know. It was like just like. I don't
it's
know.
not like it's unbelievable. I'm just
Right,
like,
for sure.
Why is this in the movie? Like what are they trying to say with this stuff?
I think it's also like I think it kind of made sense to me that like Bernie was like kind of what was it? He like says like the way he kind of like talks to her like with the like demonstration and shit. I was like, Bernie seems kind of like a piece of shit. And then Bernie's kind of leaning into like into Harry, right? And it almost felt like she like this maternal thing, right? Where she's like, oh, like I'm gonna take care of him. Like he's obviously like uncomfortable with this. Let me like deflect.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I would say like the attention felt very sort of like maternal, and it culminates in a very maternal way. I feel like
That's a good point too. Yeah, I was trying to read exactly what her motivations were, and I think it's meant to be kind of
nebulous.
misleading.
Yeah, it's all grays, brother.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
all grays.
Yeah, he asks her during this intimate scene that they kind of have against one of the pillars. He asks her if
this is the whole hypothetical about his relationship with Amy.
Yeah, and he's like basically saying, if I didn't tell you anything, blah blah blah, like would you still come back to me? And she asks him, how would I know he liked me? And
how would I know he loved me? And he says, you'd have no way of knowing.
Yeah, which is
But he says it in a way where it's like stating it, but not like he's thought about it. Where it's like he's realizing you'd have no way of knowing it. You know, like there's this like sort of like realization of like, yeah, well, fuck.
I'm gonna be alone forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Ed, Bernie here, I don't know exactly where this fits in, but at some point he's talking about how he's like, I'm not gonna tell you which president, but just it was 12 years ago and they lost.
Yeah.
Because of my surveillance.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. It was pretty funny.
It's really good.
And that scene where they're talking about that, where that part like culminates in like the scooter, and it's so telling as they like ride off in the distance, and he's like walking up away from like them.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that's before or after when they bring up his traumatic past.
That's before.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really cool telling shot where he walks away while they're like all sort of having fun. And then they're talking more about surveillance stuff, and Stan says, tell him about when you put the microphone in the parakeet, which I fucking love. That's fucking good shit, dude.
So as cool as the motorcycle like shot, the scooter shot is going around. That's kind of when I was like, even though I was like, this is entertaining. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what happened to the momentum of the movie? And it's like, it's good stuff, but I'm like, what is this? Really just hanging around them, riding around.
I don't think even my first time and the second time, definitely not. It all felt very like, it felt vibes, you know, like
it's very vibey. It was just like
it felt like it all felt like it worked for me here.
Yeah, I'm not saying it didn't work. It just was.
No, I know you're saying it didn't work for you, but I'm saying it works very well for me.
For sure.
Like I have no qualms with the length of this part. I think again there is throughout the convention and this part these like moments of like. So there are these peaks and valleys of like, oh, this is just vibes, and this is like you're getting more about like Harry as a person and like him in like interacting in like a bigger group situation, and how he holds himself, and a lot of room for the actors to like
breathe
and really embody their characters.
Totally. Yeah, well that's where it leans more into the kind of like character study. Like artistic
feels
kind
again
of showing
of
you.
the cinema verite sort of like you know, vein as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Bernie is insisting about the Teamster job. He says that Harry used to work for the Attorney General, and and they're like, "What? I didn't know that." It's
Harry's upset that he knows this too. He's like,
yeah, absolutely. And we see as he's talking about the Teamster situation, Harry is behind the see-through plastic curtain at the bar. He's obscured, hidden behind this sort of like curtain.
I love this, so much. Well, yeah, he's hidden behind that while they're talking about it, and then he goes to the other side of the chain link fence, and he's on the other side of that. So he just keeps being like separated.
Yeah, he's trying to keep a barrier between him and Bernie.
So good. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and Harry says at one point, he says, "I just turned in the tapes." Just fuck, man, like you can tell he just wants to be like, I'm just doing a job, but ultimately the story is that like 3 people, and I think it's like a woman and her children are like, or there's definitely a child who is like murdered and beheaded because of the consequences of the tapes that he turns in.
Yeah, and I wasn't quite sure. Maybe I missed the details. It was a welfare scam of some sort, right?
No, it was the Teamsters, I think.
Okay.
Like the Teamsters. Maybe it was a welfare scam.
I wasn't quite sure exactly why it happened, who killed who, but I don't really think it matters.
Yeah.
But just like, interesting little background lore there. And like I'm so interested to watch it again too, just because now I have the context of what information is meaningful where and why.
Yeah, I think he says the first time he brings it up, he says the welfare scam or whatever, and then he says the Teamsters thing,
right?
And then it turns out that they're connected, like they're the same thing.
Yeah, interesting. Again, the important part is just that this trauma's there because of work he did, but curious to fully understand.
And he like apparently left New York like the next day, basically.
Yeah, and you can really see why he's like this at this point. But what I love about the movie so much is now they told you why he's like this. The rest of the story will show you why he's like this, which is so good.
Yeah, and I think at this point, roughly, is when Stan starts to play the recordings that they've been working on.
Yeah.
And Stan says that they're gonna make history, which I love,
because of the way they did this operation. Yes, I love this whole section.
The way he lays out the assignment, it's very heisty, right?
Cool.
Like, how are you gonna break in? How are you gonna do it?
Yeah,
and
this part did not drag for me at all.
I love how you. I mean, I think from this point on, the movie's a rocket ship, right? Like,
basically,
going to the stars. But I love him setting it up, and you're like, oh, now all of this stuff like is recontextualized. The whole opening scene, I'm seeing it as difficulties and not flavor, right? You're like, oh, of course, the sound of the music, all of these people, they're walking in a circle. They've been like recorded before. Like there's all these things, and like, no, you can't get to the clothes. You don't have any way of knowing what they're gonna wear. They want the real voices. It can't be a lip reader.
Yeah, and just Bernie's so desperate to show off here, and he's like, well, I can tell you no single source can do it, and the guy behind him like, well, I could have told you that, and he's like, yeah, well, why didn't you? It's like there's so much pride, right? That's part of one of our themes, right?
Yeah, I think with Bernie too, the thing I was saying about his whole sort of sentence is that you can sort of use this reputation, the man who told Chrysler that Cadillac was going to discontinue their fins. You can see this, you can use this tool in so many different ways. His is to show that he craves validation.
Yeah.
Everyone else is saying it for him because they're like trying to like, hey, he's the next big thing. And Harry's like, his shit doesn't like, he calls his gadget junk. Like, and fuck this guy, dude. Like, he's a fucking scrub, dude. Like, which I love too, that you're kind of in the mindset when he's doing the whole back and forth. Like, Bernie, you're a fucking scrub, dude. Like, he's like, well, you need like 4 passes. I could do it in 4 passes or whatever. And he goes, I did it in 3. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. It's so dope. I love intellectual battles, rhetoric, like the rhetoric going back and forth, just like in There Will Be Blood, these sort of
this
like
is a chess match.
These gunfight, chess match, duel with words. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, me too. I love this stuff. We get a very insensitive line from a very dated line here with
Harry makes the joke, yeah,
a princess phone. I guess I won't say it just because I don't really want to.
it's very interesting because he does that, walks away, walks up to Paul and Meredith, says, "Can I cut in?" You think he's gonna start dancing with Meredith? And he starts dancing with Paul. But yeah, so the joke is there's a the F word is used, the homophobic slur, and then this moment happens right afterwards, and you're very much like, what's going on?
Yeah, okay. I was like, what?
But I kind of I do really like that he cuts in and he starts dancing with Paul. It felt very much like something I would do to my friends.
I like it too. Yeah, and then this is when Bernie reveals him, which, this is where, like, yes, he is kind of a schlub, kind of a snake oil salesman to an extent, but he's also, you can tell, yeah, he's good. He got Harry. He got Harry. He kind of wins this little chess match to an extent here.
Yeah. And I think there's an aspect of this, going back to what I said before and what we were saying about how when Amy says, like, basically, you've been bugging I think you're listening to me on my conversations. Oh man, and I'm getting it recontextualized in my mind. She doesn't know what he does, right? And he's like, why would you say that? And that is like, now that we've gotten to this part of the movie, it's like, oh, that's kind of unsettling that she did say that. But I guess he just has that vibe, the watcher. But that professional boundary, and that, like, Moran so casually fucking crossed it,
Yeah, which is great.
And they didn't have to go hang out after this. Like, what if he went off and did business and shit, and he was listening to him? Like, how fucking dare you? And what I love about how outraged he is that he does this shit to other people. It's just okay with him because he's getting paid to do it.
Yeah,
under the guise of the professionalism of it.
Yeah, it's almost like an honor among thieves kind of thing, where it's like, you can't steal from a thief. You can't surveil a surveillance expert, like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, and I think he's, like, basically just, like, pissed, and so everyone leaves, right? Like,
yeah, he just kicks them all out.
He, like, shuts down the party.
Specifically Bernie, but everyone else gets the message, and Meredith decides to stay behind. Paul doesn't like this. He wanted to take Meredith home, pretty clearly. But
it's not like a big, like, he's like, so? Wait, it's funny that's like a little aspect of it, because it makes it feel very verite, very relatable, very true. Like, you definitely see that in a party,
Oh, absolutely.
You and your friend both kind of like talking to a girl, and then at the end of the night, it's like, well,
Who are you going with? Yeah, good stuff.
I've never been on the good side of that, for sure.
There's a very, like, interesting, intimate scene here of them listening to the conversation on on the tape, and he's just kind of, like, laying down on the bed, and she's just, like, stripping, and it's a really beautiful shot, just, like, kind of far up in the corner of the room, showing her strip, and, like, again, like, it, like the bike scene, it's like,
she's taking her clothes off.
I mean, that's still stripping. You're stripping your clothes off.
Right. I felt like it's, when you're saying stripping, is kind of evocative of, like, maybe, like, exotic dance.
Sure. She's getting naked, and like, beautiful shot, but, like, again, I was asking, like, why is it hanging on this for so long? But it is, like, very vibe setty, very tony, like, and it is. Yeah, it's very interesting. She kind of just like gets up next to him, lays down with him, and, like you were saying, takes on this kind of motherly role.
Yeah. And I mean, before this, he walks back to the recording.
Yeah.
And he's, like, listening to it again, like, he's obsessing over it. And she walks up to him and, like, pulls him away, right? Like, and it's like, and then like, them, like, the conversation is, like, playing, and she's, like, trying to, like, and, like, she's, like, kissing him while it's, like, playing. It's, like, so weird and uncomfortable. And then, like you said, she lays him down, and she puts the pillow under his head, takes off his glasses, so, like, mom-like, and then like you said, just completely naked, and gets into bed with him. So, and the record, she never stops the recording. She lets it play the whole fucking time.
Yeah, and it was also, I forget when she asks him. I think it's right after they leave, maybe. But again, like, she's so familiar, like, acting so familiar with him. Like,
are you gonna give me a hard time
tonight? Yeah, I'm like, that's such a
You know, it was
weird way to seduce someone.
I felt like, yeah, like I was like, is she saying like, is he gonna be difficult, or is she saying, are you gonna give me a hard time?
Right, I did immediately do the same euphemism, but I'm pretty sure she's just saying like, are you gonna like try to play hard to get tonight?
Yeah.
And it's just weird relationship, very interesting.
She also has a very interesting like way of speaking and
Yeah.
like accent. Like I don't know where she's from. It's Elizabeth McRae. Is
She's
the
really
actor,
good.
yeah.
Very interesting performance.
I love like. I feel like perhaps it's part of like how culture has shifted, and perhaps it's just that this is sort of like a little bit of like a like, you know, there's some weirdness to this whole film, but like, yeah, there's something about the way people act like in this movie that's just like doesn't feel normal.
Yeah, it feels larger than life for sure.
Yeah, I would even say I like not even like like it almost seems like twisted, and like everyone is, even those who are trying to be open are going about it in a weird way. Like there's all this like occlusion.
Yeah.
Even in like the acting, I
Right.
feel like. And
Which
again,
is
I
great.
don't know if it's just like a cultural shift, and maybe like I'm not familiar with how people talked back then.
But we've seen other 70s movies where they talk way more.
Yeah, there's definitely
naturally.
there's an aspect of, I think, a lot of films of those time where people will say phrases, and I'm always like the "Are you gonna give me a hard time tonight?" sort of thing, where I felt like I don't know if I would in my conception of English I would use that phrase like that. But it is, and I feel like a lot of times I will be watching older movies and I'll be like, what the fuck does that mean? What do they mean by that? Like I've heard that phrase before or that idiom, but I don't know how it applies here.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that case, I knew what she meant. It was just such a forward way to ask if you are going to hook up with me or not. That I was like, okay, a little abrasive, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, I thought like the initial read I got on it was like, are you gonna be all like dark and mysterious? Or are you gonna like fucking, you know, like open up a little bit?
Yeah.
You know, are you gonna like?
Yeah, well, basically, are you gonna shut me
participate?
out or are you gonna get intimate with me? Yeah, for sure.
And he did both.
Yeah, he did somehow. Good stuff. And
I love also, as they're laying down, you see the shot of the recording, and it's almost glowing. It's this thing that looks like the lens has almost been like rubbed with like Vaseline.
yeah,
I love the look of that. It just kind of like has this very sort of like, this is what is sacred to Harry sort of like look to it.
yeah. And before he falls asleep, he says, "I have to destroy the tapes." I believe, right? I have that in quotes.
Oh.
And then it's a shot of him sleeping into the dream sequence. So I think that might be one of the last things he says.
Maybe he does, yeah. She says that she forgives him at one point.
Oh yeah.
She like whispers that in his ear. But I didn't hear him say that. I'm gonna go back after we finish the PCast, and I'm gonna.
Yeah. Well, what I'm not sure is if it's like going into his dream sleep, because I don't know if there's like a voiceover here or if he just says that while he's falling asleep. I don't recall. I watched this very late at night, which is probably part of why I'm.
Yeah, I think it might be like as he's like dreaming for sure. Like I like that registers to me.
I don't know. We'd have to check the tapes. This whole dream sequence is so freaking trippy.
Yeah, I love the way it starts with the like unintelligible dialogue over like the trippy visuals. It's this very out of focus thing.
Yeah.
And his whole job is to keep things in focus, sort of like to sort of like
there's just fog over everything, and the fog keeps coming in more and more, and
Yeah.
she's and I love that she's like above him.
But even before that, there's like this like flurry of like sort of like images, these like very, very like undefined shapes.
Yeah, it was giving me very like David Lynchy vibes.
It looked like Mark and Anne like talking, but like super, super out of focus.
Yeah.
Like, is what it looked like.
Yeah, very cool. He's kind of telling her this story.
He starts fucking trauma dumping, dude.
Yeah,
He starts like finally opening
when he
up.
was sick when he was a boy. His father hanged himself, I think he said, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah, he might have. Yeah, I didn't. I was, and then he's talking about how he was sick and he might not walk again.
Yeah, reminded me of Comfortably Numb a little bit. And I think the ending is when he says, "I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of murder."
Yeah.
Which is very interesting as well.
Yeah, and there's also because he says that like his mother used to like dip him in like make like a hot bath for him, and like something about how he like almost drowned and he was disappointed when he woke up.
That's wild.
And he was like 5 or something like that.
Harry's a very interesting man.
Harry's a wild guy.
Yeah. And then we also get a dream of murder here,
Yes.
which
apart at the room number 773.
right. So that's what he was afraid of happening, which is what happened. So it's like a premonition.
But it's not what happens.
Okay, so this is what I'm not sure about. Is he insane or was there a murder? There was a murder, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The director is murdered.
Yes, but the sequence still happens. It's just not who he thinks.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So what it is, the read at the end of the movie is that Mark and Anne
Plotted.
and Martin
Yeah, plotted to kill the
plotted
director.
to kill the director.
So this is my biggest nitpick. Is their plan seems to be that this was all a trap, right? They wanted the director
to catch her cheating on him.
So they were surveilling him and saying that the room number so that he would meet them there and they would kill him there.
Yes.
I think this is awesome, but also a little too convoluted to me to be super believable. I just feel like there's easier ways to kill someone than setting up this really complicated surveillance situation that you need one of the best surveillors in the world to do. Like, you need them to be walking around a really noisy area. Like, I guess that like they're trying to sell it and stuff. It just feels like a little too convoluted. Like, certainly you could find a better way to kill this man without bringing in this surveillance expert.
Yeah, bringing someone else in, I think it's not supposed to be as messy as it gets, right? Because the person is just supposed to turn in the tapes. I can see where you're coming from. It's not something that like jumps out at me immediately. Like there is a part of me that is like, this is a little bit of like a scheme, but a lot of movies that's the case, right? Where it's a little bit of a scheme, and you're like, I guess like so. So he has the inkling that Anne is cheating on him.
Yeah.
So he's like, I am going to hire a really, because he's rich as fuck. He's like, not just going to hire some private dick off the street. I'm going to pay fucking $15,000 to get a fucking surveillance expert to like find out what is going on.
And then Martin finds out about this and uses it against him because he also wants to kill him, basically.
Well, Martin, I think, is in on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
Martin finds out that he's hiring this investigator, brings
Right,
this information
he's
to
his
Mark and
assistant,
Anne,
yeah.
let's use this to trap him.
Yeah.
The part for me that's just like a little too convoluted is that you need to make sure that he can get the info of which room and hotel to be at from this one conversation so that he'll show up. Like, the chances that he could even get that piece of information is already like unlikely, and the fact, like, I don't know, it's just a little too convoluted.
For sure. I mean, I think the degree of difficulty makes it feel more like they're worried that they're like being listened to, like they're suspicious, like, and they're not just like la-di-da, let me just leave the room number out somewhere casually. It's like we're really going to lengths to protect the secrecy of this.
Right, but they could have just made it a conversation in
I think honestly what the movie does that is so great is that it's like we're trying to rationalize this and lay it down piece by piece, but it's never laid out. It's all from like Harry's experience of it, which
is why I wasn't sure.
Which I think legitimizes it so much more to me, because it's like, this is my read ultimately of the movie, but what I love about it so much is that just like Harry and his motivations and how he deals with things, there is a percentage that is left like without any sort of, it's undefined, just like this sort of like vague images, this audio, just the way the audio morphs and recontextualize. It is very much like a like paranoia rabbit hole. It is like it is like, because there's multiple reads, I think, because then even with the end as well, with the bug, is there actually a bug? Is there no, like so much to it that's just left unsaid.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it didn't by any means ruin the movie, but it just had me scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I for sure had a similar thought of like this is an ask. Like this is that we're taking a bit of a walk here. But like again,
I mean, there could be a reasonable explanation here, like you said, because we don't get all the information. It's possible that wasn't even their plan to give him the hotel number there. It's just that they knew they were going to be surveilled, so they brought it up anyway. But they were going to tell him they're going to find another way to get him to that hotel one way or another, and it didn't really matter how we got there. And the surveillance didn't actually matter. The conversation they're giving to him doesn't really matter as much as that.
Also, like, maybe he did, and he did catch them, and nobody died, and maybe he just got in a car accident.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing, is the end of the movie is so chaotic with how crazy it is that there is a read there that, no, he's just lost his damn mind. But yeah, so that's why I was very curious to see where you landed on that. But I do think that they're saying, no, this is all real. This isn't in his head. It is going down this way.
I think part of the point of the movie is not saying anything explicitly.
Sure.
I think part of the movie is leaving multiple ideas out there.
Yeah.
Because Coppola said he didn't know, like, he doesn't know where the bug is in the apartment at the end.
Right.
Like, and people have different theories, and it's like one of those things. It's like, I don't think there's supposed to be. I think there's the easy read for sure, which is like, let's take it at face value. But I don't think that the movie is necessarily telling you that you have to believe that, right?
Yeah, totally. I think there's enough signs for me that lean that way, like just like Martin's aggressiveness with over the file and stuff like that. Like there obviously is more here going on than just some affair being surveilled to me with that level of aggression over it. So like I think Martin's character is probably the big giveaway if you're assuming all of those interactions aren't like, narratively deceptive.
That's the thing. It's like with the way that they're already playing with the audio and stuff and how it presents differently, like I mean, dude, it's like, that's the thing about film, dude. You want to take it at face value, but like, you don't know, right? Like, I think it is like purposefully amorphous.
Sure.
And that's what I love about this movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Like essentially, let me lay it out. Like you're saying, like, we take Martin being that aggressive at face value, and it's not just like some sort of thing Harry is imagining. And what I'm saying is that I'm willing to believe that this is Harry's interpretation of what actually happened between them.
Totally. And I think that's a possibility. I don't know if they lean into that from what I saw to make me like think it's an equal weighted thing, but
I think there's these things with Amy as well, and like her just like disappearing after like they break up that like really kind of like make me question reality in a way.
Well, I think that the thing that makes me question it the most is just the final shot, right? Which we'll get to soon, of just, like him just like the whole sequence of him tearing his apartment apart, and the insanity of that makes me think, oh, maybe this is just someone who's extremely unwell. But it's interesting. So he wakes up from this dream, and Meredith has stolen the tapes.
Yeah.
Which is like such a good little twist, because it's like, again, you're so in his head, and you're not in, like, because this has been such a long sequence of just kind of chilling out. You're really not seeing it coming. At least I wasn't the first time. Like the movie is setting it up so that you want him to start letting his guard down and be more social with people, because you see this as his weakness, his flaws, that he can't get close to people. And then he does, and then it's immediately flipped on you, again, setting up why he's like this.
Yeah, for sure. And it is also one of those things that happens in a movie where like, this is a big thing now. He's going to like chase, or whatever. There's so many different ways to tackle this next part. It's a phone call, and it's just like, yeah, we have the tapes.
Really quick, there's a shot of when the phone is ringing. I love this so much, where his shadow is he's in the door.
The bathroom?
Yeah, he's in the bathroom, and the door is open, and his shadow's on the door, and his shadow slowly starts to form as he gets closer to the door, so that the lighting forms into his actual silhouette instead of just like this amorphous blob of shadow, and it's just such a cool shot. I thought it looked amazing.
That's very much like what I'm sort of talking about, is like the undefined to defined, but like, is it really? And I love I love the way he hesitates before he does it, and his phone is in a drawer.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's so alarmed because it's his personal phone,
Yeah, I didn't even know he had a phone until this point.
Yeah. Like, why would... Well, no, you do know he has a phone.
Oh, does he?
The opening scene.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well,
right.
the
Yeah,
second
he calls.
scene,
That's
yeah.
right.
There's a really awesome fucking shot on this where... So, basically, yeah, Martinstedt's like, we have the tapes. You can come down and get paid. Harry's, like, alone in the living room with the phone in his hand and the line leading out of frame. He looks like he's floating out in space, like an astronaut with, like, the umbilical. Like, he's left out, like, on his own.
Yeah, totally. And Martin also tells him our tapes have nothing to do with you, which is just like such an ominous line to me. I really like. Again, yeah, just really building up the tension here. It's really good. And then so Harry comes to meet the director finally. And so this is where I first really was thinking about the construction as a theme, where he's walking in, and this is a beautiful shot of there's a guy vacuuming, but through the window you can see.
I think he's like buffing the floor.
Right. And you can see there's a shot of the city in the background. There's like a constructed building, and then it's after this where he's running out of the building that you see the deconstructed building, and I'm like, that seems so intentional to me. So I'm like, I wonder. Like, and with how many shots are of buildings and stuff, I'm like, I wonder if there's like more of a theme here than I picked up on.
Yeah, I think it's the definitely like pointing to that whole sort of dissolution, the dissolving of all order,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And fuck, man, like, yeah, I love how he just like lets himself in too, because he can hear them listening to the tapes.
Yeah, and then the dog comes in right behind him, which was just like very interesting. Again, like. It's one of those, like, everything feels so purposeful. I don't know what the dog represents here, but it feels like it does represent something.
I feel like it follows him in,
Yeah.
he's surrounded in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's Robert Duvall is playing the director.
Yeah, great stuff.
Never gets a name. He's just the director.
Right. And he's collecting the money. And this is such a good scene, too, because it's like, you still have no idea what's going on. Here are supposedly the villains of the movie, based on everything that's been framed up. I mean, they just stole the tapes from him, but they're also paying him. And so it's just such a interesting scene of them listening to the tape while he's counting the money. And there's like just this weird tension to everything. And I love the little bit you get between Martin and the director of like, you want it to be true and all that.
Yeah.
And he tells him to count his money outside.
I love it. It's great. It's all very good, and you can see that he's upset, right? And Harry says, "What are you gonna do to her?" And we do get this idea because we see the picture of him with Anne, and getting this idea of they're together, right? Yeah. And like she is cheating on him, and this is like the first time where you're really like, oh, that's what this is about.
Yeah. Just
like, wow, just like a really powerful dude who's like upset that his wife is cheating on him.
Yeah, and so he definitely, this is the bait and switch here, right? Where you are like, oh, okay, I guess it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't think this guy's gonna kill her based on this.
Right.
Like, there's no reason to believe, and then it's like, oh, okay, wait.
Well, like, I mean, he could, he might, could. Yeah. Like, but you're like, is he going to? Like, I mean,
Seems like we're reading too much into it, right? And then it totally flips.
Maybe
on
we're
you.
being paranoid,
Yeah, exactly. This whole sequence, oh my gosh, where he shows up at the hotel to
well, before
do surveillance on the room.
He's walking out and he fucking throws the folder.
Oh,
he's so fucking frustrated.
Yeah.
And you can just tell he's like he's spiraling so much.
He's lost his control. Yeah.
And you hear like the recordings playing as it's happening too, and it's just like him running in circles in his mind, just like this fucking insanity loop that fucking is driving him up a fucking wall,
Yeah, it's really good. I like the long shot. Again, it's another one of those like really long sequences where I'm like, doesn't need to be this long, but it is like great. Like he throws it and it's just like long shot of him walking while the conversation's going over, so that he walks over and picks it up.
Picks it back up. I love that about him too. It's so telling. Yeah. I love how much a lot of these shots really breathe.
Yeah.
I think it adds so much to the surveillance aspect, the being watched aspect of it.
Totally. Yeah, because he's like way in the background of this shot, which is cool.
This is like sort of like where like we're really ramping up to like get to the climax once we get to the hotel, you know. And
This kind of feels like the climax.
he
to me.
tries. Well, I mean, I feel like the climax is like a very specific moment in the hotel, but you know, he's trying to get room 773
Yeah.
somehow, trying to prevent
And I just
what
like
can happen.
I was getting
almost.
so excited here because it's like, oh, we're gonna see him in action. That was so hype for me
Yeah.
because everything has been mostly just again telling you how good he is at this. You can see he's very knowledgeable, but
Yeah.
to actually see the man at work is
Yeah,
really
for
fun.
sure. And he ends up getting the room next door. We see him like scoping it out. I love this, like him sizing it up,
Yeah, he's like
knocking.
tapping with his ring to find
Yeah,
the
and
studs
you're like,
and all
oh, he must only wear that ring to do that.
that. Right, I didn't think of that, but totally, that's great.
I just had that whole sort of read that his everything is constructed to be the best at this.
Yeah, and then yeah, when he's pulling out his kit in the bathroom, I knew. I was just like, Alfredo is like gonna be fainting over this because you love the meticulous like gear and stuff, and I do too. I was very like, oh, this is sick. I think but like both of us just like sweating as he's
I was
going through
stoked,
the
yeah.
it's so cool.
And I'm just like, what is he doing? And the way he flushes the toilet as he like is drilling it.
Yeah,
Also,
old
this,
pipe hole too, which
we-
is cool.
we get this whole thing that we got in No Country for Old Men, which is the like we are shown a room and it's
Yeah.
gonna mirror a room we're gonna go into later.
Yeah, super cool.
The way he like checks out the balcony and everything.
I thought they were
too.
gonna go for the vent, and I was like, okay, because
Yeah.
I was like, how could he possibly surveil
Yeah.
this room? And like, oh,
And
vent,
he's
vent,
like
okay.
listening to it. Yeah, it's so good. He's like really like just like taking it all in. Like he's really seeing like from what angle can I like attack this.
And I didn't know the movie needed this, but it does need to see the master at craft. I
I
think
love
for people who are good
I
at
love
stuff,
the
yeah.
problem solving aspects of
Absolutely.
a movie like this.
Yeah. And so
yeah, it's
this is
sick. He's got the little headphones in. I love the meticulousness of the way he like sets the recorder down and then he knocks it and it's like wobbling
yeah.
and then he steadies it and I'm like, was that planned or was that like just something he did and he was so in the moment that he just like it feels so like precarious, right? The way it just felt so telling of the situation, like so symbolic of like he's the audio recorder wobbling and he needs to like steady himself.
Yeah, totally. And this is when I was the most like unsure of what was reality and what was in his head. I wasn't sure if this was just PTSD coming out here and he's just having like a panic attack over what's happening and what's happening next door isn't really that bad, or if it was real. And then that kind of rode out for most of the movie until it was probably, when you see the newspaper that he died in a car accident, I was like, oh, so he's dead, which means he probably was murdered then. Yeah.
Right, for sure. And I mean, it's the way it's done too after that is like so casual that there is so much room for me to be like, did he really die? Like what? Like did he like? There's so much stuff, right?
The way
where
he
you're-
hides under the blanket.
That's amazing. That I love that
into a
part
child.
because I love
it.
how like
And he's
in a
watching cartoons, watching the
yeah,
Flintstones.
in a movie like this. Well, it starts off. It's like what it's cool is that it's like some sort of the first thing that's on the TV is some other thing, right?
Mhm.
But then when he gets back up, it is like the Flintstones. So it is almost like this reverting, right, to like a childlike state. Like, you know, he's so terrified.
Well, and it like ties back to his dream when he was talking about
Yeah.
being sick as a kid and stuff.
Yeah,
and-
for sure.
yeah.
I also like he doesn't spring into action. He doesn't have a fucking gun. Like this is not that kind of movie, you know? Like
Which is a little wild to me. I mean, like I like that he
But he
that
also-
it's not an action movie, but also what were you planning to do here?
right. No, that's such a good question. Yeah, it's a great question.
And the answer was he didn't really have a
It
plan.
really
Like,
makes sense though too because it's like that's not what he does. He like does like he bugs things and
doesn't
then
even call
listens
the
from
police
afar.
though.
You know?
Like
No, I know. And then we have this is another part because he walks into the room and everything is like
breaks in.
clean.
Which I love.
Yeah. We get the fucking him with the fucking
Because they
lock
kind of
picking
foreshadowed earlier, like you want me to pick that
Yeah.
for you, darling, or whatever. Yeah.
And yeah, he walks through. The room looks perfectly tidy.
Yeah, very tense scene.
And we get the
Shower
him.
curtain.
He's like, it's got to be the shower. His finger on the drain. I love him thinking about these things that I wouldn't think about, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, if like they washed it out, there would be blood there.
Right.
Nothing. And then like when he tried to flush the toilet earlier and it doesn't make like the right sound, and then he opens it and the fucking blood just fucking coming out of it God, dude.
Yeah,
Ugh.
this was very reminding me of The Shining for sure.
It was a very much like a horror shot because of the way they kept showing the toilet, you know?
yeah, yeah, and this is just in his head, right? 100%.
The toilet thing?
Yeah,
I would imagine so because that's an insane way to dispose of like
I
the
don't know.
cleaning stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how that doesn't make any
But
sense.
it's a very cool looking scene.
And I think it's thematic. Like this is coming to me right now. You can't flush this away.
Yeah.
You can't flush away your past.
Yeah, for sure.
Here it comes bubbling back over.
And all of the sound too, like in this part, it's so quiet, but you get like the faucet dripping lightly. Everything is just so like meticulous feeling. And then like right after that is he runs past a wrecked building.
Oh
and
yeah, that's where it is.
Takes
Yeah,
the streetcar
totally.
to he wants to go see the director at like the office, you know?
Yeah, and then we get like he gets wrestled out
Yeah.
on the staircase.
Like the first time we see a gun too is like the guy opens his jacket and he's got like the security guard has like a gun there.
Which is strange. All of this is strange. So he believes that that she was murdered, or that both of them were murdered.
I think this is also his brother, by the way, Richard Hackman.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he thinks that the directors killed both of them.
So why is he confronting the direct? Like that's what confuses me. Like why aren't you going to the police with this?
I mean, that's a great question.
I don't know.
That's a great question.
I don't know. It's confusing. But then he sees her in this the car you were talking about.
Yeah, there's
limousine.
also like, I think that's a good question. Why isn't he going to the police? People don't always act the most like I totally get where you're coming from, for sure. But it's like such like a paranoia like spiral, that like
Well, I could get if he didn't call the police and didn't act at all, like he's just too scared to do anything.
yeah.
But the fact that he tries to charge
Then he tries to
into
talk
the
to the
office
director, right.
and get into a fight over it, but he won't call the police is a little weird to me. But
Yeah, like what, thinking he's gonna bust in there and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna tell the cops what you did," like I don't know, maybe perhaps he's worried because some of the stuff he's done is not like super legal. I mean, he did break into the hotel room again, but it's like, yeah, it's murder, right? So like why aren't you going to the police? But I kind of love how they're like a non-entity throughout this movie, except for Paul.
that's
Like
a good point. Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, I love that you like it almost feels like they're I don't know. Yeah.
And then
It's a good question. It's a great question.
we get the reveal basically here where the executive is dead, the director is dead.
Well, yeah, well, we like you said, we see Anne sitting in the back seat, and we have this awesome moment where she turns and notices him,
Yeah.
which is this whole thing that was kind of like a perfumey thing. Like I notice everyone, no one like really sees me,
Right.
and like it feels like when she looks at him, some really great visual acting where like she like sees him, right?
That's
like
a really good point.
where it's like I know who he is. Like he's the guy who facilitated this whole thing,
totally.
and he doesn't realize that at that point. But he's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, we see the headline, and yeah, as we've said, like the whole putting together is like, and then we see Anne walking out, and Mark is there, and Martin is there, and they're like, "Do you suspect foul play?" Everyone's trying to ask questions, and then Anne notices Harry again, which is so wild that it's just like 2 scenes later, like it's happening again. But yeah, it was like the way that he like they're almost like. I don't know. I liked the frame, the blocking of that scene where he's just standing amongst the crowd of the reporters, and she makes eye contact with him.
Yeah. And it really fucks with your head because I don't think they really spell anything out here. You just kind of have to put together what went down.
We
right?
get the flashes of Anne and Mark killing the director, and then we also get this like weird recontextualization of the room where there's like the blood stain next to the toilet. There's like the director wrapped up in plastic on the bed, and you're like, wait, is this what he saw when he walked in? No, right? Like,
yeah, that's
because they
where
had
I
cleaned
was-
up after
yeah.
themselves. Is that him trying to like do with like what he does with the recordings with his memory?
Where he's
you know?
imagining how it went down. Yeah. No, very interesting sequence. Very haunting, convoluted plan, but very good.
Yeah, it's great.
Um,
And then the next part is we get him jamming, right?
On the
And
sax,
it is a lot more labored. There is like this sort of like Before it felt so much freer in like the first scene where we see him do it, and in this one it feels tenser. Like
Yeah,
like it's
and this
like he's stopping more and like sort of like gathering himself to like continue.
is such a artistic end to this movie. Not super satisfying, but not really supposed to be, right? Um, just yeah, because like usually in most stories you're gonna have this be like, okay, he knows the truth. Now he's gonna take action. No, now he's gonna play sax until he gets a phone call that scares him.
Yeah, I mean it's bigger than him really. I
Yeah.
think is like the whole thing is like he is kind of being swept up in the whims of powers greater than him.
Totally.
Which I think is fun because the movie starts off and we're just like, here he's this dude. He seems to be like in the surveillance game and pretty good at it. Then we get the context of like, he's the best in this pond. And then the end of the movie is like, but the world is bigger than just this one like little group of people. And like even these people who are so good at this, like the resources can be turned against them,
Totally. Yeah, he gets the phone call.
And Martin plays the recording back
it's
to
a
him.
dead call first, which is very ominous.
Yeah.
And then so he goes back to play sax again, and then it rings again, and this time Martin's on the phone. So my take here, which is interesting, because he's trying to figure out what the bug is after this, right? Oh, and Martin tells him, we'll be listening to you, replace the sax music. My take here is that it actually might have been Bernie's tech. Because
for sure.
The call
that
did ring.
Yeah.
So I think the bug is the phone, right? And that's why it recorded just that section of him going back to sit down and playing sax.
Yeah, that was my read of it as well, is that it is Bernie's sort of device. But I think even to use Bernie's device, something has to be installed. Like
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely felt like there was a little bit of like, this is coming back. This is a callback.
Yeah, I love this shot too here where he's kind of losing his mind trying to figure out where the bug is and the camera's just like spinning around him, like very, very cool.
Yeah, and we see that
disorienting.
like how much it fucks with him that he at first leaves the Virgin Mary.
Oh yeah.
And then comes back to it and tears it apart, you know? Like to see if the bug is in there. He's just like obsessively searching everywhere, pulling up the floorboards, pulling out the AC, the thermostat, taking down the curtains.
Yeah.
And like he checks the light, he pulls his phone completely apart. And there's this really like cheeky flashback to like Mark and Anne, obscured by like a head is like sort of in the way, and it looks like they're like she kisses Mark. And it felt like another moment of this like what could have been, but also like these people have fucked me up, like, because Mark and Anne's such an interesting, like, they are like the focus of the story, but
you
also
don't know
like
anything.
non-entities.
Yeah, totally. I like that a lot too. So much is about them, and it's because we know nothing about them that the twist works so well.
Yeah, and I love like the whole home is torn apart. We have the cool security camera movement. We move to him playing the saxophone.
Yeah.
Then it moves back. Then the credits start rolling.
Yeah, I
and
didn't
it does
even
the same
connect
movement
that
again.
it was just like surveillance
Yeah.
camera. That's so good. Yeah, totally. Yeah, powerful ending here of him just playing sax in the torn up apartment. I love that.
It's so good. I feel like it's such a metaphor for like the world and dealing with tragedy, and like especially the onslaught of really, really depressing fucking news that you get these days, like all over the world and just like in our own backyard. Like it's like obsessing, tearing everything apart, trying to find like a way to like do something or be of any sort of like positive effect, and just kind of like sometimes being like, all I can do is just fucking sit here and jam, just like do my own thing, and like while the world's falling apart around me.
Yeah, it's powerful, and it's just like I said, like reflected on this after it ended, just like trying to figure out exactly what the movie was doing when the credits were rolling. The setup here of why he's like how he is at the beginning. This like there is kind of a cycle in this movie, right? Of you see why he's so shut down and like removed from the business.
He says it in the beginning, like, do you like walking around in circles like this?
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah.
Can't wait for the conversation part 2, dude.
Me too. I love this movie. Should we do our rankings?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, go for it. I will. You know what? Okay, this one. I think I'm gonna have to go S with this just for my like just. I think all of the technical elements, like, and all of the evocative storytelling,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed even the pacing. It is like a little. There are parts that are a little slower, and I kind of like that. It reminds me of a time where that was okay. That
Yeah.
was more okay. Yeah, and the acting really good. It's very like there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of emotion. Um, Not enough like dads being proud of their sons for me, but I think that this is this is like one of those movies. Yeah, I almost feel like I'm grading more sincere movies on a different curve, but I feel like this movie like does a lot of really cool commentary on like paranoia and on mental health, obsession. That I'm gonna bump it up. I love, and the cinematography
Yeah.
and the sound editing, like the sound editing and the cinematography and the story. I think really like perform. There's just a lot of work put into the technical aspects that really I think get it over that little bump for me.
Totally. I do think the movie's a masterpiece. I do think it's like a great work of art. I think there's enough things that didn't totally click with me. That I'm gonna give it an A tier, but I do think it was absolutely excellent. And it's like one of those movies that like if you love artistic movies, you should watch this movie. Like it's amazing. Like
This
it's not
is
a
like-
movie for everyone.
Yeah, I feel like it's an artsy like it's like an artsy movie that still has like a wide enough appeal, right?
Yeah.
It is like an artsy thriller, but we're not getting to like the level of like Holy Mountain or like
Right.
like Sagrada Sangre or whatever the fuck that movie is called. But yeah, good shit.
Really good. Loved it.
So
Great movie.
as Connor and I were talking before we started rolling, I did not prepare my little spiel like I usually do at the end of the month. But that's okay. What we're gonna do right now instead is we're gonna talk about what we feel are the most PWAGAS movies of the month. Let's start with our number 4 first.
This is really hard for me. Because the number 1 is the easy one for me, and then it gets a little harder after that. And for number 4, what is the movie that is like encapsulates people who are good at stuff the least out of the 4 we did? I might go Boogie Nights. I think there's just enough other commentary and other characters that are like there's so much that movie is talking about outside of Dirk Diggler's gift. That while that is a big central thread, maybe the least so.
I will agree with you. I will put Boogie Nights at 4. At 3, I'm going to go ahead and say Perfume because I do feel like so much of that movie is also about like murder and about
Like what does it mean to have a soul and like
Yeah.
really trippy
Yeah.
cosmic stuff.
I mean,
I'm
we
with
even
you
talked
actually.
about it. We even talked about it. And number 2 for me is going to be Bobby Fischer.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's going to be Bobby Fischer because it is more about it is like a response to PWAGAS movies. Like it feels like to me it is a like people who are good at stuffs like or like being more well-rounded and there is so much of the focus on like the familial aspect of it.
That's a good point.
I
That's a
feel
good
like
point.
my number 1 is it sounds like your number 2 is The Conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of convincing me a little bit.
So for me, The Conversation number 1 is because he is stripped bare of everything but his expertise. And it is so focused on his like expertise and it's so linked to his paranoia. And that's such a central theme of the thriller that I feel like, and I also like what we've been talking about throughout, that I feel like it's so PWAGAS that it starts off by being like, this isn't a movie about people who are good at stuff. This is a movie about the guy who is the fucking best at like, but like at first it is kind of unassuming in that realm where you're like, oh, this is a cool world, right? Like this is like kind of a thriller. They're listening to people and like his expertise being shown and shown and shown and then talked about,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about it more. It's hard to make the call here. I think I still will stick with conversation being number 2, people who are good at stuff, because I think it's also getting into a lot of themes that are more than just people who are good at stuff. Like it's like that is a big part of why he is the way he is, but it's also about just like power, how power is used, like just
Yeah.
talking about surveillance, talking about relationships, talking about
Absolutely. Absolutely.
isolation. And I feel like Searching for Bobby Fischer is the most, this is what being really good at something can do to you, and like let's look at that through
Right.
the lens of a child.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. I love that point. I will also say this, Bobby Fischer feels much more ensemble, right? It is much more like we're talking about a lot of the people. Where like Fred has his whole arc and everything.
Yeah.
And even oh my god, what is the fucking Bruce, you know? But like this movie is so singularly about Harry, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, that has been People Who Are Good at Stuff month.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, Alfredo didn't prepare anything. Is there any kind of like themes we still want to like? I feel like that. I mean, we've basically been talking about each of the movies as we go through them, but I think if I was just gonna give my little like wrap up, I don't have anything prepared either. But just
Let's do it, dude. Let's just do it.
just like
let's go for
off
it.
the cuff. I
Off the
think
friggin' cuff.
I think part of I think the hook with people who are good at stuff is how fun it is to watch people be good at stuff. I
Yeah.
think that is the hook, but then exploring the psychological angle can go so many different ways through that, and I think that's why it's such a like thing to just do again and again, because it's
Yeah.
such a good character study thing. It's such a good way to talk about different themes.
It
when
becomes such a metaphor what they
Right.
do, which is again why I think the conversation wins out for me, because the metaphor is stronger. Because good family isn't like chess, right? Like, you know.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, it's just I really enjoyed this month. This was like might be my favorite month, not necessarily because it's been my favorite movies, but just because it's been such a weird collection of movies
I love
together.
the collection of movies. This was really fun. Like there was a really broad spectrum that we hit.
Yeah, just like a little, like so many different tones, so many, and like all very artistic in their own way, and just yeah, it was really fun to jump between all these.
We got to kind of do like sort of like more perfume, like period piece, like a lot of like sort of like set dress up, but like the other 3 movies, a lot of more like naturalistic sort of like vibe to it, right? Like much more true to life.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, and like, but still, I'd say Searching for Bobby Fischer definitely the most grounded, but like these ones still like a little larger than life, still playful, like still philosophical, and like you still got Roller Girl rolling around and like being silly, in Boogie Nights.
For sure. But I mean, like, also at the same time, like, when I was in my early 20s, I obsessively wore an American flag bandana around my neck. Like, people have weird shit that they do, you know? Like,
there's so much heightened dialogue in that movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
A lot of stuff
For
that's
sure.
very, like, this is a movie. We're making a movie.
That's
here.
a great part of the conversation. So much of it feels very, like, natural.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great month. Great movies. I'm super excited for this next part.
Yeah, are you ready, dude?
I'm so ready. We're going to be picking our next movie, guys.
All right. Our next 4 movies. So we have left right now, It Could Be Anyone, Out of Order, Movies in Motion, Aliens, and we have Trapped. I'm going to go ahead and
oh my gosh,
spin the old wheel.
What we doing next, Fredo? I can't wait. Oh, it's spinning. Oh, baby.
It could have been anything, but instead it could be anyone.
Could be anyone. This is going to be a fun one. I think first up on Could Be Anyone is The Murder on the Orient Express. What's it called?
Yes.
I haven't seen this.
No. Have we talked about whether we're going to do the old one or the new one?
No. I don't know if we have. Which one do you want to do? Let's decide right now. Shit.
The new one is, I feel like the new ones are kind of funny, dude. Are we sure that's the next one?
I'm pretty sure that was the first on the list.
You, yeah.
If it's not, it is now.
Let's do the.
I kind of want to do the original, but
I mean, it's based on a book, right? And they're like, it's just funny because the whole Poirot thing. There is the.
Which one's more popular?
I mean, the Kenneth Branagh is doing like a bunch of new ones of the like Poirot series. Let me look this up really quick. Murder on the Orient Express.
This is gonna be a fun category.
I'm using 3 screens right now.
He is.
All right. Movie. Gotta add that because it's a book. All right, so we got the 2017 one. And is there an older one?
Yeah, right?
I think so. Let's see. 2017, 1974. We
Yeah.
just watched a 1974 movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's watch this one. We're gonna watch the old one. Ooh, Albert Finney is Poirot. Yes, fuck yeah. Lauren Bacall is in this. Ingrid Bergman. We're definitely watching the 74 one. I'm excited for this.
I didn't know that he's the director.
No, the Ingrid, not Ingmar.
Oh.
This one is, let's see. I think it has a better score too.
So you haven't seen this?
Directed by Sidney Lumet. No.
So this is the first movie neither of us have seen.
I'm excited.
That's very fun.
It could be anyone.
Could be anyone.
But since there are 5 Fridays in May, next week
Special episode.
We're going to be doing a little special thing, a little departure here. We've been chatting a little bit about what we want to do, but what we've decided on is Connor and I are going to go see Sinners together.
Yep. A lot of hype around that movie right now, a lot of buzz.
And yeah, we're going to talk about it. Probably be a little bit of a shorter episode.
Yeah, we're not going to because we're just going to see it in theaters and then go talk about it. So we're not going to take copious notes.
Like first reactions.
Yeah,
you know?
just kind of, we're not going to take it scene by scene. We're just going to talk about the movie in more freeform.
Yeah, for sure. In the future, when we do have these sort of like bonus episodes, we don't really have a set format for it. We're just going to kind of let it be whatever we're feeling in the moment. We have some ideas for some sort of some bits and bobs, some fucking segments. So
yeah, there are 4 Fridays in the year that do not fit into our
if you do the math,
format.
You got 12 months. You got us doing 4 movies every month. 4 times 12, 48. We all know there's 52 weeks in a year. That leaves 4 extra weeks for us to do something. So
we already passed one of them.
January was a 5-weeker. Got May is a 5-weeker. I believe August is going to be a 5-weeker, and I'm not sure what the other one is, but there you go.
Can't wait. I'm excited.
Can't wait, dude. It's going to be so much fun. So we will see you next week with Sinners, and then we'll catch you on the Murder Express, on the Orient Express. We'll murder you on the Orient Express with content.
Hell yeah. And we'll see you in the forecast.
Cast.